I go from 0-6 in Double A, never had a pro win. First pro win was in the big leagues. In your life, no matter what job you do, you put your pants on the same way as everybody else does every time in the morning. Just sometimes you're wearing a different kind of pant, right? Kevin, I was going out the door once I found out I was drafted. My dad grabbed me and goes, "Nah, man, we're gonna talk about this," So, but when it was all said and done, I'm telling you, it's nasty. It was a nasty thing, but it had to be done. I mean, to cancel baseball, to have no playoffs, no World Series.
Today we've got Bobby Witt Jr. on, 16-year big league vet, 142 big league wins, almost 2,000 career punch-outs. Was Nuke LaLoosh based on you? Are you really Nuke LaLoosh?
Well, you know what? The first 2 years I did lead the league in walks. So
well, you did 3 times.
Yeah.
86, 87. I don't know what happened at 88, but then 89, you led the league in walks again too.
Yeah, it was, for me, you go from college and you go into pro ball, right? And I went from University of Oklahoma, right to Double A. And you go there and the things that you got away with in college didn't happen in pro ball. Guys were looking at like, dude, I'm not chasing that slider down and away. I'm not chasing that, So there was a transitional period for me to really go, this is a little bit different. And struggled. I went to Double A and struggled. I was 0-6. Went to an instruction league that year. Bobby Valentine was the manager. He was going with, I ended up getting a big league invite to spring training. So instruction league went well, and I go and I end up making the team. And that's awesome. I go from 0-6 in Double A, never had a pro win. First pro win was in the big leagues. So I was learning at that level. Along with Jose Guzman, who was a rookie, Edwin Correa, who was a rookie, Pete Incavilla, and Ruben Sierra came up. So we had 5 rookies on that team.
Man, that's hard. Like learning on the fly that, like that has got to be extremely difficult. But dude, like another thing, we were talking about this earlier, like we're talking about all your career accolades and just like everything you've done, but you're also, your son is one of the top 3 players in Major League Baseball. You also have 3 son-in-laws who played. What's Thanksgiving like at your house?
The best thing is that we'll go on a family vacation and you might meet somebody go down to Aruba. That's one of our spots we like to go to, and you'll be talking to somebody at the beach. And so what, tell me about your family. I said, I don't know you won't believe me if I tell you, and I start telling them and they're like, come on, man, all 3 of them. And then your son. Yeah. So it's really cool, man. I mean, it is a baseball family, really. I mean, every time we get together, it's always, we can talk about it, but at the same time, for me, my son, he wasn't around the game when he was growing up. My last year was 2001. He was born in 2000, but my son-in-laws are the ones that kind of, showed him the way. James, he was with the Cubs, and my oldest daughter, she would take Junior out there, fly him out. This is back when they were able to do that. He'd go out and take, shag in the outfield, take BP and do those type of things. Awesome. And he never forgets that. I mean, and then he was at Fenway, and when he went to Atlanta, but watching Cody and Zach with Oakland, I mean, it's kind of cool when they're playing against each other in spring training. So all that stuff that you sit there and look back, and I just say, I can't believe it. I mean, been really blessed as far as what I've been able to do. And then my son, and then my son-in-laws, my daughters. I mean, that's probably one of the toughest things, because this is a true story. I told my wife after I played and my oldest daughter started dating, I said, I really don't want her dating, pro baseball guy. I said, I just know, because the grind. Yeah. Everybody sits there.
Type, maybe too.
And it's just one of those things where you sit there and go, hey, people look at it like, oh, you're the big leagues, this is going to happen. They don't know about bus trips. They don't know about getting sent down and free agency and going through things that you struggle with, and I just, as a father with his daughters, you're sitting there going, I don't know. And then next thing you know, all 3 of them marry baseball players, and they're great guys. I love them.
That's awesome. We had Zach on, and we got to hear his story, which is, I'm so pumped for people to hear his story and just kind of his journey, man, because you talk about grind.
Yes, it was unreal.
I mean, he was the epitome of grinder and found a lot of success, overseas, here. He's finding success now post baseball.
And people don't really understand. You have a much different perspective on it too, because he's married to your daughter. They
Right.
don't understand
Right.
the wife's, struggles and
Right.
grinds too. Having
Absolutely.
to be called up, be sent down, minor league lifestyle, which we know is not glamorous, and then, eventually taking his talents overseas. Like, that's got to be hard on a father as well too.
Oh yeah, you're always, because that's your biggest concern.
Mhm.
How are they going to do? How are they going to survive? What's going to happen? I mean, I remember him doing lessons in the off season just to supplement the income.
Yeah.
When he was playing, and that's one of the things that you look at and go, okay, is this thing going to be? So how are they going to get through this? And then, somehow, some way, he ended up over in Japan, had a lot of success over there, but still wants to come back and finish up in the States and say that he finished up, and does that with the Rockies, and the next year he's back in the big leagues. It's
Yep.
are you kidding me? It was unbelievable.
I think before we get into your career, because you had an amazing long career, you were part of some of the more iconic moments in baseball history. You played with so many Hall of Famers. I think our fans and our audience kind of want to know, what's it like being Bobby Witt Jr.'s dad? Like, what's the blueprint? What's the story? How did he become this player? Did you push him in baseball? Did he love baseball on his own? Was he playing other sports? I mean, talk to us. We got
Yeah.
young kids too.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think I think a lot of people want to know if there was anything special that I did or family did or anything like that. But I could tell you that at first it wasn't. This is crazy, but this kid, we had to force him out on the field. When he was 6, he was very shy. Wasn't the kid that was going to walk in there and just go out and do his thing. He had to be, you had to coax him out there to help him to get out there, and then he'd get out there and maybe he wasn't really comfortable, and then after about an inning or two, you could see him start to enjoy it a little bit. But once he got past that stage, which was about a year, and he was able to, start to enjoy the game. He started really enjoying being around his teammates. There's just the fact of going out there and playing the game of baseball. But I would never. I always, when I look back upon it, I mean, he played football and baseball, and I loved watching him play football. But he realized that the hitting and all that stuff was a little bit different here in Texas. So, but he played up until his freshman year. But I think the baseball side of things, for me, it wasn't a forced issue. It was something that he wanted to do after he got past that little shyness or whatever you want to call it. And I think the thing that he enjoyed most was just, like I said, being out there with his friends, playing the game, and not having any, I mean, yeah, I don't think at first you're a son of a guy that played in the big league, so you should be good. That's what everybody's perception is. That's what maybe some people's expectations are, but that's not necessarily the case. I've had buddies that I played with that went the football route or went, into medical school. I mean, just things like that. You just want what's best for your kid. And being able to be there with him was one of the coolest things, because I have 3 older daughters from him, from his age, and not being there all the time when you're playing is tough.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys know that. I mean, it's just one of those things where, you're missing things, you're missing that. So when he was born, I told my wife, I said, I'm going to try to do as much as I can with him to see how this thing can work out. So it was a good situation.
That's awesome. You talked about him playing football. Do you think football, him playing a different sport, do you think it helped develop different, I don't want to say skill sets, but maybe, because I'll say this, I got to watch Bobby when he was in high school. I was training, I was still playing. I was over at TMI at Meister's place with Trent Blank.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I remember everybody talking about this Bobby Witt kid. I'm like, who's this kid? It's kind of like, you're talking about with Grady Emerson, like, this kid's, and they're talking about, this kid, he's got a chance to go number 1. And he walks in, I'm like, that kid, like, that kid. But the one thing about it is, like, man, he was such a pro at such a young age. I remember he was 17 years old. He would come in at 7 a.m. in the morning before school. So he's driving all the way to Arlington and then going all the way back to Colleyville. He's coming in. He's got his program, right? Like, it's not like somebody's holding his hand through it, right? He's like, he goes in, gets his warm up done on his own. He's doing everything like on his own. He needs nobody to hold his hand to get his work in. And so you got a few big league guys and then this 17-year-old kid, and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. And so I just think, like, that doesn't just happen. Where do you think that was developed in him? Was that just a natural, like, he was just picked that up, or was that something that was kind of coached into him?
I think it comes from either further down the line, like my dad, the way that he raised me. You know, my dad was a Marine and firefighter. That's how I grew up. He worked 2 jobs his whole life, you know, to provide for myself, my brother, and my sister. And it wasn't like I had to do the things that my dad had to do, but he instilled that blue collar mentality into me. And I think that's one of the things that I've tried to let him know, that in your life, no matter what job you do, you put your pants on the same way as everybody else does every time in the morning. It's just sometimes you're wearing a different kind of pant, right? And I think that's something that he never forgot, and he takes that to heart. And he was a good kid, you know. He didn't want to go out and hang out. He wanted to make sure he focused on what he was trying to do, and that was ultimately to get to the big leagues. That was a goal of his, set very early, I think, in his life. And again, when you enjoy something and you love doing what you're doing, it makes it easy. You know, I think that's one of the biggest things.
Can you kind of explain the difference? Because I too, as a kid, wanted to get in the big leagues, but I don't think my sole purpose as a kid was to play in the big leagues.
Right.
I think eventually my love and passion of the game led me down that road. Do you feel like it was kind of the same for Junior?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think that his thing is that he didn't want to, like, if he was willing to sacrifice at a young age. And what I mean by that is, you think about the things that, you know, you want to go hang out and do something in the summer with your buddies at you're 13 or 14 years old. He was playing, he was doing that. He was sacrificing, going with those guys and playing, and people, you know, and when he wasn't doing that, he was in the cage. He was doing something else, you know, or working out, or starting to figure out what he needed to do and get into that routine that I think is very beneficial for anybody, you know, especially at a young age.
So tell us about you at a young age. So you talked about military background, firefighter. Were you kind of the same way as a kid too? Did you always want to be a big leaguer?
I grew up in Massachusetts, a little bit different. Baseball really wasn't the focus as it is in some of these other states. You know, there was always hockey. I mean, I was a terrible skater, so I didn't even mess with that. Played football and baseball in high school, but I told my dad one day, when I think I was about in 7th or 8th grade, there was a shortstop for the Red Sox. His name was Rick Burleson. And I said, I'm going to take his job one day. Well, I didn't take his job, but I got to face him, at least in the
That's
big leagues.
cool.
He was still, I can't really remember, but I know, I remember facing him, and I was kind of like one of those, you know, surreal moments where you go, there's no way. I mean, cause I grew up a Red Sox fan. I'm facing Dwight Evans, who I watched growing up, Jimmy Rice, Burleson. I mean, it was crazy when you start to, you know, your home team, you know, it's kind of cool.
Especially that franchise, that, you know, there's probably a little bit, like, I grew up in Orlando, and, you know, we didn't have a team. You know, Tampa Bay didn't come around until like 1998. But like growing up in the Northeast, you know, or Massachusetts, where the Red Sox are your home team, you come up with Texas, you end up playing at Fenway the first time. That's got to be, you know, all your family, everybody come, you know, all that stuff. Like, I mean, it's got to be one of the pinnacle moments of your career.
Oh, it was crazy, you know, being able to play there, and you know, you have your family there, your friends, and I think the biggest thing was that you got to go out and perform. And my first couple outings there were terrible. I mean, I got rocked. I didn't know if I lasted 2 or 3 innings, but towards the latter part of my career, I had and when you look at my numbers against each team, my best numbers against the team is the Red Sox.
That's
so I
awesome.
turned it around a little bit, you know, and things started working out well over there. And I'll never forget pitching against Roger Clemens in Texas. I think he was going for his 20th. and it was a really good game. It was back when they still had Monday Night Baseball. I mean, that's
Okay.
how old I am. And so it was kind of, you know, tale of two stories. Clemens, Texas guy pitching for the Red Sox, Massachusetts guy pitching for Texas now. So they made a big deal about it, but we ended up winning in extra innings. I think it was 3-2 or 2-1. It was really, really a good game. But those times being able to go back there and either pitching against the Red Sox or playing them in Texas were always special moments for me.
Let's ask the tough hitting question. Obviously, you played in the era of, maybe some performance enhancing stuff, but Roger Clemens, Hall of Famer?
I mean, when you look at what he did, yeah, I mean, the numbers and things it's just like any one of those guys. They were so good. And, to bring that up with their names, I mean, with Bonds and all that, it was, if you just take the player before you saw what they got into or what they say they got into, I mean, yes. Yeah.
Dude, he was, 7 Cy Youngs.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I think he's over 4,000 punch outs.
He punched out 20
twice.
Yeah. And they were in 2 different decades, right?
Yeah.
Like they were 10 years apart.
Yeah.
You talked about playing, high school, football and baseball. So you got drafted in the 7th round out of high school.
Yes.
Was that a tough decision to turn down the money and start your professional career? Ultimately, you decided to go to University of Oklahoma.
Kevin, I was going out the door once I found out I was drafted. My dad grabbed me and goes, "No, man, we're gonna talk about this." So we ended up discussing it, and I would have went to Billings, Montana. And honestly, I don't know. I feel like I felt like, you're 18 years old. You're going, this is the journey I wanted, man. I got to get it started now. But there was a purpose for me not going there. And I was with the Reds. I would have been playing with Rob Dibble. He was from Connecticut. He got drafted the same. We played against each other in high school. We had a Massachusetts, Connecticut All-Star game. So that would have been cool. But yeah, I mean, it was one of those deals where, I think if they could have came with a little bit more money, I probably would have went, but it was probably one of the greatest decisions that I never made. My dad pretty much sat me down.
I was going to ask you too, because now in your post playing career, you're an agent. So you have living that experience. Is that a difficult conversation you now have with players too? And you obviously talked about you getting to the big leagues really young and still kind of being raw and you weren't quite as mature in terms of your mechanics and command and stuff. Like, your lived experience, does that help you with some of the guys that have to make these tough decisions in their life? I
think it does, because again, I was drafted out of high school and then took the college route, right? And I look at what happened. I mean, I was a 7th round pick out of high school and ended up going to Oklahoma, and I was the 3rd pick in the draft. So you go there and you get better. Absolutely, It works. But some of the, with some of the money that they're throwing at these kids now, it's a hard decision, and you gotta be able to really let them know that, hey, this is it's time to go to work. I mean, this is what you're going to do as a profession. You're going into a situation, and I think that you want to make sure that they're mature enough, they're able to do that and be able to be away and go and, make those bus trips at 18, 19-year-old. And all of a sudden, it's not like you can all of a sudden just, you know what, hey guys, I want to jump on a plane and go home and see my folks for a couple of days. That's not going to happen. But yeah, we try to make sure that we provide these kids and these families with as much information as possible and let them know. But this definitely does have some impact as far as what I was able to do.
What about have you ever thanked your dad, because he told you to go to college and ultimately you became the 3rd overall pick, but you also got a chance to play for your country, represent your team in, what was it, the 1984 Olympics?
Yes, that's without a doubt one of the coolest things I've ever done. Just the way they did it back then was we were touring all around the country. So the USA team in college now goes to Cary maybe for 2 weeks, or they take a trip for 2 weeks. We literally were gone for over a month, and we were traveling.
How did that work with you? You got permission from Oklahoma. You were representing.
Yes, it was the summer.
It was the summer.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
So it was after the season.
So it was the summer. So I'm talking about June and July.
Yeah.
Pretty much gone. And then I think the Olympics, if I remember correctly, was August, somewhere around there, maybe the first week of August. And we were playing in front of if we were playing at big league stadiums. And what we would do is, I'll give you an example, at Fenway, we went before the game. The Red Sox were playing the Angels, and we would start our game about an hour and 15 minutes before the regular game. So we would get out there, the guys would get loose in the cage and do all that stuff. And we would usually play an all-star team. And back then they had a Boston Park League. It's like a really good summer program team. And so we played them. And Will Clark was, this is a funny story. Clark was there, and he just absolutely puts on a show, man. He goes oppo over the monster, dead center, and pulls one down the line. 3 for 3, 3 home runs. Reggie Jackson just sitting there, and he's sitting there watching it because we're in their dugout and visiting team's dugout, and he's going, "Who is this kid?" And Will, he was pretty. He was he was good, and he knew he was good.
Proud of himself.
Yeah. And I mean, it was just one of the greatest things. But just playing with that team, and then obviously being a part of the opening ceremonies, and you're looking around. That was the year Jordan was there. The basketball team was unbelievable, and I mean,
Barcelona.
No, it was L.A.
Oh, it was
LA.
LA.
Yeah,
LA,
that was even better because you're in your own country, representing. And the only thing that was disappointing was we lost to Japan in the final game. And but
And some of those guys on the team, Barry Larkin, Will Clark, Mark McGwire.
Oh, unbelievable. Corey Schneider was at third base. He was, ODB McDowell, Shane Mack, Chris Gwynn.
Ken Kamenendi, was he there?
He was there until so they had to cut it to 20. He was on the 25 and they cut it. Yeah, Greg Swindell was there until that. And then Billy Swift was a pitcher, Scott Bankhead. Most of the guys were big leaguers. And then there was, Barry was, Mac. He should be a Hall of Famer, but it was a pretty good team.
So in LA, did you guys have like Olympic Village and all that stuff?
Had the Olympic Village. Uh-huh.
So you were in the Olympics in '84 when Jordan and all those. Did you guys ever cross paths anywhere?
You'd see him. We'd all eat in the same place and do all that stuff. There were Mary Lou Retton was a really big gymnast back then. Greg Louganis was like the big diver, and I think Carl Lewis was there. The track guy. It was unbelievable. But you'd see those guys. So I remember when we were going in, coming out of the tunnel, and it was where USC played football. The Olympic Stadium.
Awesome.
Everybody was like, "Hey, we should try to get back there with the basketball because Michael Jordan's going to be on TV. They're going to put the camera on him." But yeah, it was such an incredible experience. That's why when my son had an opportunity at 18, he was on the 18U team that went to Panama, and they won the gold medal down there, and it was a no-brainer. And then he was invited twice to play in the WBC. He'll do that until they don't want him anymore. I can promise you that.
In the WBC too, I feel like, you as an agent, as well as a former player, like you've experienced all these things from so many different angles, but the WBC, especially for pitchers, it's kind of like, hey, do we really want to ramp up here and all this stuff? But now you got like guys like Nolan McLean. You have these guys that are like, I'm playing. Like they're like, I am playing. And so in this year's WBC, I don't know if it actually is, but it felt different. It felt very much like most countries had their best players.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, obviously Venezuela had an unbelievable team. Japan's always got a great team. There was the countries that were represented there. There was a lot of pride in it. And it almost goes back to like those Olympic days, like summer games. And so the fact that Bobby's able to, at this stage early in his career where the WBC is growing, do you think they change like when they play the WBC, or do they try and make it? Because I know there is like a lot of negotiation back and forth between teams and players. Like the teams want to protect the players, but they also want to give them an opportunity to play in it, to grow the WBC, because ultimately if the WBC continues to grow, it helps the game. It's kind of a conundrum there. Do you see any changes in that moving forward?
I know that the one thing, Cody, is that they talked about maybe that the All-Star break, trying to do something there, kind of like what the NHL did this past year during that time, and just figuring a way, because I think that's probably the biggest stress is the pitching part of things.
Yeah.
If they're able to get to a point where they could at least feel a little bit more comfortable letting these guys go and not have to ramp up so quick, and then downshift and,
Yep.
put it back to where you were, because there was, I think, with Paul Skeens kind of leading that charge. I mean, just what it meant to him to put that uniform on, especially being at Air Force and those, in that environment. And then he was, from what Junior said, it was just unbelievable. I was in Houston when he had the University of Houston was playing Air Force
Okay.
at the time that the USA was playing in Houston at the WBC. And the team was supposed to fly out the day before. Well, Paul Skeens called the coach and said, "Hey, can you see if everybody can stay? I want to invite the entire team to watch the game tomorrow." And they ended up staying, and they were all down there by the third base dugout a little bit to the right. And so it was Griffin Jacks, I think, and as well as Skeens, both went over and talked to him. But Skeens was kind of instrumental in doing that. And that's, you just, that story, man, it was so awesome to see those guys when they walked over. They just started they didn't know what to do.
Yeah, he talked about his main reason for wanting to play was to represent all the people that, represent our country, and all the services, in the military. You had an incredible career, but would you say representing your country was probably one of the greatest honors you ever had in your baseball career?
Without a doubt. I was fortunate enough to be able to participate in the World Series in 2001 and be a part of that. And it was a very difficult time for our country at that moment, coming back. I mean, the 9/11 situation, we were in Yankee Stadium, and when we flew out to New York, after we were up 2-0, we went down to ground zero. The next day we had a workout at Yankee Stadium. We had a optional bus that was leaving 2 hours before the workout, and it was going to ground zero. Our entire team was on that bus to go down there. And
dude, what was that like?
Oh, it was when we went down there, I can remember a smell that I've never smelled. It's just the smoldering. It was just something that you never really want to smell. It was bad. And then talking to just some of the firefighters that were there. I mean, what are we going to do? I mean, we're just trying to talk them, trying to help them through this process, whatever it might be, just shaking a hand, saying hello. I mean, those things were, and then getting on that bus after that and going to Yankee Stadium. I mean, you were, as a team, I think we were all upset. Just the fact that, excuse me, knowing what just happened, to our country. And so we went out there, and but it was something that, that was part of the thing too, that I'll never forget that. I mean, my dad being a firefighter, so I had a little bit more touch on that than most of the guys on the team, knowing what those guys were going through and the times that they were in. But Kurt Schilling, we were in their command room with the fire department, police, and Schilling spoke on behalf of our team and just told them, "Hey, you guys are the heroes." And basically it was a really nice speech that he gave, and just on our behalf. It was something that I'll never forget.
I can't even imagine, because I've been to the museum there multiple times. Last handful of times I went to New York knowing I was didn't know when I was going to ever be back, or if I was going to continue to play. And that's one thing they always talk about in the museum is the smell. The people that either help put the museum together, people that have donated stuff to there, or people that were actually there. They talk about the smell, and you kind of described it perfectly. It's like this smell that you'll never forget.
Right. Yeah. It was, like I said, it was unbelievable. But that was one of the prouder moments. But the USA thing, just knowing that, I still have the hats that we've had, and, the medal that we got, and some of the other pieces. But it was one of the things that, I was proud of, but at the same time, the group of guys, I was proud to be able to play with them. And then again, at the end of the day, put that USA in the front of your chest was something I'll never
Before we close
forget.
the chapter on your Olympics, do you remember going to any events? As an athlete, you get a chance to go to any other events?
You know what? I didn't really, I think I might have did maybe a swimming thing, because we were practicing the days that we didn't play. We practiced, and to practice, we had to get on a bus, and the way that they had us there, I remember going, I can't remember what fields we were at, but we were staying where the USC, that was the campus, and they had everything fixed up for us over there, but we would leave and we'd have a helicopter that flew over the top of the bus until we got done. And then once we got done, it was one of those deals where I don't know if we had a lot of energy after going through all that stuff, because you were playing one day, practicing the next.
So you get drafted, you fly through the minor leagues.
Don't have a win.
Right.
Don't have a win. But
Go from
obviously,
instructs to big league spring training the next year.
Right.
So you go into big league spring training. Nolan Ryan still there?
He wasn't there yet.
It wasn't there yet.
Yeah. He wasn't there. The big guy was Charlie Huff.
That's right.
The knuckleball. He was our number one guy that year, but he ended up breaking his finger. So Jose Guzman had to move up to number one. So we had 3 rookies in the rotation that year.
So how do you find out you make the team? Because that's like, you either find out you make the team or you get the call. Like that's obviously like it's one of the biggest moments of a player's career.
Bobby called me in the office, Bobby Valentine. I mean, honestly, my spring training was probably, out of 16 spring trainings in the big leagues, probably one of my best spring trainings ever.
Really?
I mean, yeah, it was.
Is this right towards the end, or is it, like last couple days before break?
It was probably because I didn't know anything until probably about 3 or 4 days.
Okay.
But the funny thing is, I used a payphone to call my dad to let him know. Everybody's like, what's a payphone?
Was it a rotary?
No, it was just like, hey, I called him. I think I called him collect too, matter of fact. But yeah, that was cool. I think it was like the 3rd or 4th day before camp broke. And I was just like, some of the reporters would start to, ask you questions to where it was almost like maybe I have a chance because he's talking, and then you start watching the room, right? Watching what happened. I remember Bert Hooton was there, and Bert was on the, he was like, we've all been the same in that situation. You kind of at the end of the rope, and he was fighting for that spot, and I think I basically beat him out. And you see that, and I'm 21 years old, and I remember the locker room we had, you had the regular locker room, and then you had the kind of like the doorway there, and there was like an auxiliary locker room with about another 8 lockers. That's where I was in spring training. So then you start seeing a lot of the guys out here, going to minor league camp and all that. So it was something that I've never, experienced before, anything like that. So I didn't know what to think or what to do. Yeah.
Where was the opening day that year?
It was in Texas.
So your first opening day is in Texas. Did your family come?
I'm not knowing. My father and mother flew in and surprised me. I didn't know. They didn't tell me. Yeah. So they came in, and it was my start was against Toronto, and Cecil Field, it took me deep. I remember that. I got the loss, I think. And Jose Guzman pitched the first game because Charlie got hurt. So they moved him to the opening day, and I got bumped up. And then I ended up starting against Milwaukee in my next start, and it was a crazy outing. I'm just gonna read it off here because I thought it was a typo. I was like, this can't be right. Second career big league start. You throw 5 no-hit innings. Yeah. But in those 5 innings, 10 punch outs, 8 walks, 4 wild pitches, and you give up 2 runs with no hits. Unearned. Yeah. Well, yeah.
When Bobby comes out to get you, or he tells you you're done, you'd be like, dude, I got a no-hitter.
Well, I didn't say it. I was at the point where I think if it was later in my career, I would have said something. But I was just like, okay. And it was to this day, Peter Gammons, the Hall of Famer. He always, because I grew up in Mass, Peter was from there. So we kind of had a relationship for the last, 40 years. He followed me in high school, and he said that's one of his favorite box scores or line scores that he's ever seen.
That's a real life nuclear. It's 5 innings, 10 punch outs, 8 walks, 4 wild pitches, no hits, and 2 runs given up. Yeah. And that Milwaukee team, that was like, what was it, Robin Yount?
They were just coming off the World Series.
That team banged. They were really good.
Yount, Molitor.
Molitor.
Cecil Cooper, Ben Ogilvy, Jim Gantner, Gorman Thomas. They had a team. They were free swingers, so it kind of played into my game.
You still walked 8 of them though.
Yeah, that was well. The thing was, I was like, I walked the bases loaded. Then all of a sudden I punch out the side. And then it was I did that a couple times, but I was probably at 100 and something pitches easily. I tell people that Rusty Gray was one of my favorite lines to him. I said, at 100, I was just getting loose, man. I was just getting loose. I was just getting loose.
That's awesome. Yeah, so your second career start, you throw against all these guys. And so like, and one thing about your career is, I think looking back at it, I mean, you played for so long, you know, and you threw so hard. Like you were so talented, and you just had, you know, this great arm, and, you know, you were this high 90s guy who threw really, really hard, but you're learning how to pitch in the big leagues. And then they're like, hey, you know what we should do? We should go get this other guy who strikes everybody out, but walks everybody too, named Nolan Ryan. So you got to play with him, what, the next year? Or the year after?
88, I think, was the first year. 86, 87, 88. Yeah. I think it was.
And so he's coming over, like he's basically the kind of like flamethrower in the league, right?
Yeah. In my mind, he's the man. Yeah.
And so, I mean, what's it like, you know, was he an off-season acquisition?
Yes.
So you're probably at home, you know, getting ready for the season, and bam, Texas Rangers sign Nolan Ryan.
How do you find that out, by the way? Because you didn't have Twitter back then.
No, you didn't have. I think it was maybe I don't even know if ESPN was around back then.
No MLB Network.
No,
maybe ESPN,
it
where
was.
you just show up in spring training the next year and Nolan's in there, and you're like, wait, hold on a second.
I think I was living in Arlington, and probably it was during the off season, so we were going to the stadium to work out.
Okay.
And so probably somebody said that, hey, we just signed him. I was like, no way. And I was just freaking out, man. I was just, this is unbelievable. I mean, this is the guy. This is who, when we were playing on that 84 team, the Olympic team, we played in Houston, kind of the same deal before. And we actually got to watch the Astros play, and he pitched that game.
Oh, wow.
And we had seats in the outfield, and I'll never forget watching him, listening to him. I could hear him all the way up there grunting, you know, when he would throw. And I was like, this guy, man, he's an animal. Yeah, I just couldn't. But I mean, it was amazing. And then what they did in spring training, they put our lockers right beside each other.
That's cool.
So he was there, and if I ever had any questions, they said, you know, and Nolan was an open book, but he wasn't going to sit there and say, hey, you need to do this, that, or whatever. It's one of those deals where I had to get comfortable enough to ask him. You know,
what was the best thing you learned from him, and what was the coolest thing about being his teammate, and what was the coolest thing you watched him do?
Well, what I learned from him was just the work ethic. This guy was unbelievable. I mean, he played till he was 47, right? I think.
Yeah, 47.
I mean, 27 years in the game, one of the longest tenured careers out of
still
any team.
Throwing pellets.
Yeah, I mean, he was just blowing cheese. I mean, he was still letting it rip. But just how he went about it. I mean, he would, you know, after he'd have a start in the big leagues, he'd be on the bike after the game. I mean, and then this is after. I'll lead this, and it'll answer the next questions. Is that he'd be on the bike after the game, 9 innings, punch out, whatever, 14, ice on the shoulder. Oh, excuse me. Ice on the shoulder, ice on the elbow, ice on the back, pedaling the bike 35, 40 minutes, just getting after it. Next day he'd be doing his weights and all that. I mean, you're watching him do that, and you're thinking, look at this guy right here, man. This guy nonstop, you know, he keeps going. This is why, you know, if I want to continue to play this game for a long time, this has got to be the program. This has got to be part of the routine. And I always liked working out, but I mean, when you see him doing it, it kind of just
different.
It makes you just go, this is the way. But the things that I saw, coolest things, I saw no-hitter 6, no-hitter 7, 5,000 punch out, and 300 win. In that time period. And and every time that he did one of those things, he was on the bike. He was on the bike after doing that. Most guys just punched out 5,000. Let's go.
Celebrate,
you know? Yeah. I mean, I just got my 300th win, but it was the same thing all the time with him. And, you know, I was fortunate to play with him. He was unbelievable. One of the things I asked him, one day I said, no, I said, what's the best pitch in baseball? He goes, the bow tie. And I go, the bow tie? He goes, yeah, the bow tie. He goes, right here. I go, no kidding. He goes, yeah. He goes, you never want to let these guys get real comfortable. And I said, who told you that? He goes, Satchel Paige.
No way.
Yeah.
Dude, he you know, you hear all these, like, he's almost like a myth, right? Like Nolan's like almost a myth, because you hear all these stories about how if a guy bunted on him, you know, he'd like rub the ball and just stare at
Yeah.
you, and you knew like next at bat, like you were just getting bow tied or you were getting hit. One of the
He
two.
wasn't bow tying you
I-
then. He
I
was
see-
hitting you.
I seen it firsthand. I mean, if it was a big swing, like Gary Sheffield, I
Yeah.
played with Sheff with the Marlins.
Yep.
And Sheff had his thing, and he would take a hack. I mean, he would let it rip, and I'll never forget. He was 19, or I think he might have been 19 or 20 years old. He was in the big leagues, probably 19 with the Brewers. We're playing the Brewers, and he takes a hack, man. It was a fastball up, and next pitch, Nolan just undressed him. I mean, just I've seen guys take some big swings but he would walk in literally his last pitch. He'd throw his last warm-up pitch, catcher would throw it down. He'd get the ball back, and then he'd walk in like he was walking towards the plate, and he'd touch the ground like this just to kind of check the surface to make sure it wasn't slick or anything. And then he'd look in the dugout like, if any of you going to bunt on me, go ahead, try it and see what happens.
Dude, I've heard that. And I always I'm like, surely that can't be like exactly what he did. But like guys like yourself that I've heard from, they're like, no.
No,
That's exactly what he did.
It was different back then, Cody. I mean, it's just the game, guys like today, he did a documentary thing, and I was in it. They asked me to, come over to the stadium. This was back when COVID was going on. And one of the things that I said, but they didn't put it in it. They said, well, what do you think about how would Nolan do in today's game? I said, I just laughed and I said, he probably wouldn't be playing too much. And they're like, what do you mean? I said, he'd be suspended probably every time he went out. He'd be getting 7 games because this, with the bat flips and.
Were you there when Ventura charged the mound?
I was traded. I got traded to Oakland, so I missed it. There was a year after. Yeah, that was.
Was he a different person when he wasn't pitching?
Oh yeah.
Did he have like this persona that he took on when he got on the mound? But like the 4 days in between, obviously we talked about his work ethic, but he was a cool, calm, collective guy, like good teammate. But when he stepped on the mound, he was a devil.
It was a different dude. Yeah, he was. He was into the ranching. He's got his cattle, his beef company, and all that type of stuff. I actually one day he asked me to go with him, me and the trainer and somebody else. He goes, hey, we're going to fly out to East Texas on a plane and check out these cattle. You want to go? We'll have lunch. I'm going, yeah, let's go, man. So we went out there and did that. But I mean, I've been to the national finals rodeo in Vegas with him, with my wife and his wife, and about 6-7 other couples went. But yeah, I mean, just awesome guy. I mean, but when it came time but he grew up in that era though, I mean,
Yeah.
where that's the way it was.
We always talk about this. Cool. It's cool that like how the game hasn't really changed. The essence of the game, like the distance of the bases, the objective of the game, but like it's moved in a different direction. But the coolest thing about baseball is how the generations are all connected. Like you talked about how firsthand experience he learned from Satchel Paige. And then, so therefore you're kind of connected to Satchel Paige because he taught you about the bow tie.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing about baseball.
I think that, it is. I mean, and again, the thing is that every time that I see somebody that's been in the game, they know somebody that I didn't know they knew, but it's just the fraternity. It is a fraternity. I mean, it really is, whether it's high school, college, pros. I mean, the professional, once you get started, big leagues, at some point, there's somebody there, there's a touch there that you had, and it's really cool. But with, that's one of the things that, I'm from the old school, but I understand the new school. But the game itself is still there, but I liked it sometimes better back then.
You talked about kind of when you came up to being a little bit raw. Would you say Nolan had a huge influence on your career in terms of like getting a routine and learning work ethic and knowing how to be a professional? Or was there a coach? Was there someone previous to Nolan coming in that kind of took you under their wing a little bit?
Yeah, I think for sure Nolan definitely had an influence. We ended up, in 1990, I had the best year of my career. I think I was 17-10, and he finished 1. I finished 2 in strikeouts. But just, I think things really started to come together for me as far as a pitcher, and as far as going out there and trying to figure some things out. And, pitching more with my fastball, I can remember, and him telling me after a game, again, going back to Toronto, I gave up some runs early, stayed in the game late. to like the 7th inning. And he said, hey, what you did after that with your fastball and the way you were challenging hitters, I mean, that's what you got to do. Forget about trying to, trying to trick everybody. And I remember having a conversation like that with him, and that kind of opened my eyes a little bit.
I'm from more of the new school, right? And I'm a baseball historian. Like I love the game and I love talking the game. Do you find it kind of offensive that maybe players today talk about how these players in the previous generation wouldn't be able to hold their own? The fact that there wasn't these high velocity guys and that we're seeing like this crazy velocity out of all the starting pitchers, out of the bullpen guys. Do you think that's inaccurate for someone that lived it? Was there a lot of guys that were in fact throwing hard?
Oh, there's no doubt. This is my philosophy, is that there's nobody throwing harder, period.
No one's throwing harder now than guys were
no.
throwing
There's
during
more
your era,
guys throwing harder.
but no one's throwing harder.
No. Nolan Ryan, when he was in his prime, one guy said, I don't know how the heck they try, but I mean,
The technology's changed too.
Right.
So like the radar gun, when Nolan was playing, or
it
when
gets it
Satchel Paige
across
was
the
playing,
plate.
yeah,
Right. That's when it was getting it across the plate. It was the ray gun. So it would travel, and that they said that was 4 or 5 miles an hour off. Nolan was 100 and change back then. So, I mean, if you were 95, 96 back then, you were 100 now.
What was your top velocity?
I was 97, 98.
So you think with the modern guns, you were probably sitting in the hundreds?
It would probably be 100. I'm not going to say above that, but I just know that there's more guys throwing harder now, without a doubt, but nobody's throwing harder. It's just that I think that the guys, when you see it, like a guy like the closer with the Padres right now,
Mason Miller.
I mean, that's extreme velocity, and that he's kind of separated himself. But that would be like Nolan. That would be like.
But you're getting that for 9 innings.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing too, right? The other thing is, I mean, it was a badge of honor, man, to throw 9. You wanted to throw 9 as a pitcher. That was something that when you got done, you were like, yes. I mean, I don't know how many complete games one year. I think maybe 12, 11, maybe. I mean, Nolan was throwing. They were getting 40 starts. He was throwing probably 20 plus. I mean, complete games. And those were the things that when you look at, I mean, he threw 200 pitches in a game and came back and pitched his regular turn.
He threw 200 pitches in a game
and took his regular turn.
GMs would get fired now, or a pitching coach would get fired.
But what happened? But what happened to Nolan Ryan?
Nothing.
27 years in the big leagues.
You
That's
talk
what
about
I'm
him
saying.
like you talk about him
27 years. He threw that.
You talk about him making 40 starts. What do you feel like's changed? Because it feels like guys only get like 32 starts now. Were guys just coming back? You mean you were still on a 5-man rotation, correct?
Exactly.
But you weren't skipping days. You weren't pushing guys back. Like
you
I'm
work
trying to
harder.
think how the math. I'm trying to think how the math checks out for like a guy to make. Because I know it's real. You could look at Baseball Reference. Guys were making 40 starts. Have they just changed the game now where they have guys come in, make spot starts. They push guys back after off days. But like no one was pitching every 5th day. You were pitching every 5th day. So you were getting 35, 36, upwards of 40 starts a year.
Yeah. I mean, I think I might have had 34, maybe my top, somewhere in that range. But your goal was going into spring training. Spring training, you were looking at 33 to 35, depending if you were the 1 or 2. The 1 never missed. The 1 always came back. If there was an extra day, the 1 was coming back to 5. Yeah, that was it. And you were leaving spring training trying to get to 7 innings. When you left spring training, your last start, you were looking at 7 innings to try to get yourself ready for the first start of the year. And I think that now, everybody wants to specialize it and make it to where it's harder after the 5th inning to get hits. So what do? You bring in the same amount of velocity, the stuff with the guys with as good as stuff as the other guys. But I think that, back then, again, you had the closer and the setup guy. And then the guys in between there would kind of mix and match and do whatever.
Where do you think in today's game, where do you think all the injuries come from?
I think Dr. Mice is a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And I think it's the velocity chase. It's the young kids knowing that if they want to go to a Division I school, they better be flashing 90s, not just 90, but 90 plus, and that type of thing.
So you think it's the velo chase so early?
I think so. I think that has something to do with it. I think that there's things that guys are doing that, I mean, I just don't agree with. I just don't think that you need to do that. I mean, I felt like, how did, if you talk to Clemens, you talk to Nolan, you talk to Randy, guys that were throwing, I mean, for me, it was long toss.
Yeah.
All those guys will tell you the same thing. Nobody threw heavy balls. No, we messed around with the football a little bit. Tom House brought that into play.
I was going to ask you about Tom House because he, you know, he was a very kind of like,
he was ahead of it, Cody.
Yeah, he was kind of like cutting edge.
Yes.
Right?
I had him for 7 years.
Yeah, and he, you know, and he turned into an unbelievable quarterback coach, like just like a throwing expert for Tom Brady and Drew Brees, and, you know, all these guys. So he became really just not just baseball, but like a throwing expert. And he, you know, he was with Nolan and then Randy Johnson and, you know, all these guys. And his methods are still taught today, especially on the football side. I would say his impact on the football side is, his fingerprints are all over that.
Right.
Now, he was a guy that when you were in Texas, like you guys were, you know, playing long toss with the football, you know, and stuff like that. Was during that time, were you guys viewed as like by the rest of the league?
Idiots.
Because when the what's that? Yeah, were you guys viewed as like, what are these guys doing? Right?
We'd walk out there for stretch. You know, we do our stretch and all that, and they got the mesh bag, and there'd be 8 NFL footballs in there. You know, and everybody's like, what are these guys? And then we'd get out there and start throwing it. But guys really liked it because in order to spiral, you know, make the spiral, mechanically you have to have your arm in the right position, but it was heavier than a baseball.
Yeah.
So you got looser a little bit easier and that type of stuff. But yeah, they called him the Nutty Professor. I mean, Housey had his doctrines, I mean, back then. And the stuff that he would tell us, we would be like, man, I don't know. I mean, he'd come out there and he goes, hey, you know, we got to get the ball's got to be high to low to get the right trajectory and this and that. And I'm like, dude, just tell me how to get this guy out, will you please? I have no idea. I mean, come on, give me something. But that was the stuff. And we had a guy come in from Canada, this doctor, and he basically came into spring training one year, and he would, the day after we would throw, he would take this, these readings with this imaging, almost like an MRI type thing, but it would show you, we called him Dr. Hotspot, because he would come in and check to see where was the most inflamed area in your body. And he could put it on you. You could say, well, your shoulder. So mechanically, you're not doing something right with your shoulder or your elbow. And like we all had stuff all over the place, you know, that was wrong.
What Nolan's arm looked like?
Nothing. No. Mechanically, if you look at his mechanics, he had the big leg kick, but he stayed on top of the mound right there, and then just everything lower half was right on time.
I mean, he was like, when I was I signed with the Twins, and Wes Johnson was pitching coach there with the Twins at the time, and I got to go to a play. They sent me to a play. I was struggling, and then I went to the Florida Baseball Armory with Randy Sullivan. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he's a like a movement pitching guy, and man, they. Like Nolan is still like the pinnacle. Like they break down everything was always like Nolan was the example. Like it wasn't, Pedro. It wasn't, like all these great pitchers that have in between. It's like, no. He is still, example A. Like that's what we're chasing, right? Like he did it for this long, and they broke down his delivery, and I was just like, well, what about this guy? What about this guy? They're like, nope, not as good as that. Like that is still what we're chasing.
Right.
I mean, and it was 35 years later.
That's incredible. I mean, that you just said that, because to me, when you look at what he did, and just when you look at his accolades, right? You look at the numbers, it's first in everything.
Yeah.
No hitters, 1 hitters, 2 hitters, punch. I mean, whatever it is, and then yet everybody wanted to get away from it.
Yeah.
What did that guy do? The guy worked and he pitched. That's what he did. I mean,
threw a lot.
Is it an absolute crime that he didn't win a Cy Young?
That's the 1 year that the numbers that they said it was the West Coast bias that got him. The year in Anaheim, or with the Angels.
Anaheim, or
that's
LA,
right.
Whatever
they gave it to Palmer, right?
Yeah, Jim Palmer.
Yeah, that was the year he had it. Yeah, how about that? Well, him and
I think he had like over 20 wins. I think he had over 300 strikeouts.
Yeah, that in itself deserves something.
Nobody, he does that.
But he always played on. Is it true he always played on losing teams though, correct? And that was kind of the bias at the time, is that he didn't help his team get
Yeah.
to the postseason.
I know that he in Houston one year he won an ERA title and he was 12-16 or something like that, or 12-4. You know, I mean,
With probably 375
yeah.
strikeouts.
I mean, it was crazy.
That was like DeGrom. You
Yeah.
know, like DeGrom's done that a couple times.
Yeah.
You know, Felix did that a couple times.
Well, Nolan's got 7 no-nos and no Cy Young. Clemens has 7 Cy Youngs and no no-no.
Crazy.
I think I'd take a Cy Young over no. I don't know.
So,
I didn't get a shot at either.
In 1992, you were in Oakland, correct?
Yes.
How'd you get over to Oakland?
I got traded over there. Myself, Jeff Russell, and Ruben Sierra, we went over for Jose Canseco.
Yeah.
Jose came back to Texas. And that was first year we got a little bit of playoff.
Yeah, I want to talk about
Was LaRussa
that.
there?
Excuse me?
Was LaRussa in Oakland?
Tony? Oh, yeah. I
Okay.
played for Tony for 3
That's
years.
awesome.
Yeah.
I want
And
to
then-
talk about that because that was me being a Toronto guy, right? A very iconic moment in Toronto Blue Jay history.
Yeah.
You were there for Robbie Alomar's home run.
Yeah.
Eckersley.
Yeah, that was crazy. He won the
Cy Young
Cy
that year?
Young and the MVP that year.
That's
And that
insane. A closer
yeah,
winning the Cy Young and the MVP.
yeah. It was I don't know. I can't remember what his ERA was. I think it was
What was that animal like?
Eck.
Yeah.
He was well, I mean a lot of the language that you hear, like the base, like I don't know if you guys terminology, like guy went bridge. I mean,
Yeah.
that's Eckersley started that. There's a lot of stuff that he's brought into the baseball.
He's like a little Yogi Berra.
Yeah. But I mean, he was unbelievable. He had his routine down. He would do his thing and he loved styling, man. That was his thing. I mean, and I think he made hitters. He just infuriated hitters because he could absolutely paint. I mean, he was a starter converted, then he would compete it, right? As a closer. But he would just paint both sides, and then he'd bring it out a little bit further, and then he'd throw that slider, get him to chase. I just got traded over there, and I remember he came in the game.
Was this trade like a trade deadline or in the offseason?
It was the second trade deadline.
Second trade deadline?
August 31st one.
Yeah.
You know, where they run you through waivers.
Waiver
So
trade.
you went from a Texas team that wasn't
dead last
and then you're in
to
Oakland.
first place.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
It was beautiful.
What was that like?
It was incredible. But that team, let's talk about that team for a minute.
Because you had Ricky there too.
I was that was my 7th year playing, 1992, and I went over there and felt like a rookie.
Really?
Well, Russ and I played together since we were at the Rangers, and Ruben came up together. But going over there, we had McGwire, Jamie Quirk, and Terry Steinbach were catching. Walt Weiss was the shortstop.
He had. Did he have the what they call
creature?
The creature.
The creature, yeah, that's awesome.
The creature.
You know? Carney Lansford was at third. Dave Henderson, Ricky Henderson.
Dave Stewart there.
Oh, the pitching staff was Dave Stewart, Bobby Welch, Ron Darling, Rick Honeycutt was there, Eck, Kelly Downs. Did I say Rick Honeycutt?
Yeah, Rick Honeycutt.
Trying to think who else we had.
But I mean, you're playing. I mean, and that was the machine back then. Right?
Oh, they
Like,
were
that team
they were
was,
they were just
with
they were
LaRussa
rolling.
and McGwire.
Yeah,
and-
they were unbelievable.
dude, what was playing with McGwire like
Well, the first time I played with Mac was in '84.
in the Olympics?
Olympics, and then we were teammates in Oakland for almost.
He was an SC guy.
He was
too,
yeah,
right?
USC,
SC
yeah.
guy, yeah.
Yeah,
And so you played with him in the Olympics, so you knew him.
yeah,
And then you go over there, and this was, I mean, he was a rookie who hit 49 tanks
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
rookie in Oakland.
right, which is crazy because that was back before they modified the stadium.
yes,
I mean, it was
massive.
Canseco used to complain about it all the time, saying it was the worst place to hit in the world. You know, the guy hit 40 every
49 pumps in Oakland. And then, and obviously like that team is one of, you call like a dynastic type team that LaRussa had that, I mean, they just won. Like they were, in, to win the American League, like you had to beat Oakland. Like you had to go through Oakland.
No doubt. No doubt.
And so what was it like going over there? You're playing on this team, but this is kind of at the back end of that kind of dynasty, right?
Yes, that was 92. So 80, I think 88 when it was also, I forgot one other guy on the team, Goose Gossage. Cause
Oh, that's right.
I played with Goose in Texas and then he was over there the next year. So, but yeah, I think it started in 88 and 89. They won the World Series when they had the earthquake.
Yeah.
But they were going 88, 89, 90. They lose to Cincinnati. I don't know what happened in 91. I think they got in the playoffs, but 92. Yeah. They were the team. I mean, they knew that was Welchie went 27-3 or something one year. That's when he won the Cy Young.
Yeah, and then obviously Toronto, the moment with Toronto. And
that was crazy because when we got over there, Jeff Russ and I were talking and going, dude, I can't believe we're going to go to the World Series because it was like a book, just book it because we weren't thinking about Toronto. And all of a sudden it just went the other way. That's when Eck gave up the home run to Robbie Alomar and then things just didn't go well. Yeah.
Because that was in game 1, correct? And that was kind of like a.
I'm trying to think.
I think it was early in the series.
If it was 1 or 2, he hit it left-handed down the line. Yeah. And I remember. I could see it today, man. It was. Yeah. He had a good postseason.
But that was the beginning of
their little dynasty.
Like that
that's when they went. That team was stacked.
Yeah, and that was also the beginning of Robbie, where it's like nobody, like Robbie Alomar wasn't Robbie Alomar yet.
Yeah,
and everybody's like, man, who is this kid? Taking this legend in Eck, deep, and then Robbie ends up becoming
he was
one of the greatest second basemen ever.
Right. What about Ricky Henderson?
Oh,
how was that? How was that?
He was
animal,
awesome,
right?
He was.
Does he not get enough credit for how good he was? I know because we talked about it before you came in here. Ricky Henderson's one of those guys that in baseball that single-handedly could win you a game.
Yeah.
You took what I was just going to say. It's unbelievable, Kevin. I would sit there and watch him play because I got over there in the trade and got to see him for a month, in person.
And you also were playing against him a lot too,
for
right?
years. Yeah, for years.
You were in the same division too. We didn't talk about that. He went from Texas to Oakland, so you're familiar. Yeah.
But then I got to play with him in 93, 94 and get to see him. And this dude, I'm telling you, if it's a tie game or down by a run and he's coming up, you got a pretty good chance of either winning it or getting it to extra innings. When he got on base, it was one of the most disruptive things you've ever seen because now he's got the attention of the pitcher the whole time because you don't want him to steal. Because, forget about just taking second. He'll get third on you too. And he was running and he was built like an NFL running back. That's how his legs were just massive legs, shredded. Just shredded and he didn't care. He just always head first into second, but he could do different things. And if you messed around before he got up and you weren't paying attention what he was doing at the plate, he could take you out.
Yeah.
He's that type of guy, but unbelievable. But he was the guy that was the dig me guy before the dig me guy ever came out. Yeah. When he hit the homer, he'd pop his shirt and then he'd take off. One time he did it. I swear to God, I thought he was going in the visiting dugout. He went so wide to come around. And then he'd be doing his trot. He had his trot down and then he'd do the thing with the glove where he'd snatch it and slap it on the side of his leg. But he was always trying to outdo one another. And I remember him and Henderson, Dave Henderson, they were having a conversation. We were stretching one day and it was like, he'd go, hey, Hendu. He goes, I wonder who's going to be the MVP this year. He goes, come on, man. It's going to be Ricky.
It's true. He always talking to third person too.
So he's another guy who, like Nolan was one that as, our generation of players, like we were coming up and most of our coaches, like I had Sandy Alomar as a coach and, you have all these guys that are like, they talk about these former players. And so they're myths, right?
Yeah.
Like they're these, these legends that are just bigger in life. And Nolan was one and Ricky was another one. Yeah. You had all these like Rickyisms, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you hear this, was the story about, one that I heard was the first check that he got that was $1 million. He had framed it in his house. And like at the end of the year, like Oakland called him and was like, hey, are you going to cash that check? And he was like, no, I want to frame it on my wall. Is that true?
I've kind of heard the same thing. I've never asked him about that, but there was some stuff that, that Ricky, he would say, or I would say, I never really heard him say any of it in person to me. But the craziest thing that he did one year was he showed up in spring training and he would always show up the mandatory date. He never came early.
Because there's like a kind of a loophole. Greinke was like our version of
Yeah.
the guy who like
Yeah.
knew the loophole.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone would have their report date.
Yeah.
It would be like February 14th,
Yeah.
right? Report date,
Yeah.
right? So everyone's there. But in the CBA agreement, it says you don't have to be there till
Technically,
February 26th.
this day, yeah. And Ricky would show up the night before, and he'd show up. So the first day he's there, he goes out and he takes, do they still do the sanitary socks?
Not
No.
really.
Okay, so you remember those? They're
Yeah.
real
Yeah.
thin. Ricky would have those on, and he'd go out and he'd run. He'd have his pants on, and he'd do it every year. He said it was his first day of spring training. He'd do like 25, 30 pulls just to do something for his feet or his ankles, or trying to do something because he knew what the season was going to be like. But it was one of the craziest things I've ever seen him do. But I mean, he was hilarious, man. But I mean, shoot, when he wanted to go out and play, I mean, that was the thing.
That was another thing I heard too, is like every now and then, he'd kind of get like where, he wasn't really playing super hard or whatever.
Yeah.
And, either LaRussa or somebody would call a meeting and they would just kind of air out the team, but it was
Yeah.
really directed at him. They were like, hey, we're just going to and for the next 2 weeks, Ricky would just carry the team.
Go off,
He
yeah.
would just go off because he was like, all right, I guess I got to show up,
He could do that. I mean,
He just
there's no
turned it
doubt
on.
He could do that. There was times you could see him where he would be, I'm not, maybe I really don't like facing this guy, so I don't know. The hammy's a little tight. I don't know. but I'm telling you, but for the majority of the time, this guy was unbelievable. What a great player, and just a sad loss. I mean,
Yeah.
we've gone way too soon. But I
And
really
he
enjoyed
played
my time with him.
forever too. He
Yeah.
was another guy that just played forever.
Uh-huh. He loved it, and his body too. I mean, it was
He was
incredible.
put together.
I probably saw him, probably like 10 years ago now at a Raider game in Oakland. I saw him in the hotel, and man, the guy still looked like he could play.
Yeah.
And I think pretty sure he talked in the third person when I
Yeah.
met him. I think he might have said, "Hey, Ricky says nice to meet you."
Yeah, so another Rickyism that I heard was, on the bus.
Mhm.
There's like certain spots on the bus that are reserved for
Yes.
veterans, right? Front of the bus
Mhm.
and back of the bus. If you're a young guy, you sit in the middle,
Right.
right? And normally the first seat is for like the most tenured guy on the team. And Ricky, I guess, was like walking into the back of the bus. And then, no, Ricky, the up front, man, you got tenure. And he goes, Ricky ain't got tenure. Ricky got 20 years. And, everybody was like, what the hell is he talking about? Oh, man.
that's-
Yeah, I mean, you just hear stories like that. They just kind of like make their way around
Yeah.
baseball. And,
Yeah,
man, what
he's-
a legend.
he really is. I mean, he's a legend, man. I mean, it's just the way that he, again, when you start looking at guys' numbers and careers and what he's did, I mean, it's just amazing. Just an amazing player.
So let's talk about so you got to play with Sammy Sosa in
Yes.
Texas,
Uh-huh.
right? And you got to play with McGwire in '84, McGwire in Oakland. Summer of 1998, you're with St. Louis,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to St. Louis via trade.
Well, yeah, I think I was DFA'd.
Okay.
So they had the 48 hours, and Tony called me and said, "Hey, what's going on?" I said, "Just not working out over here, man. I'm just,
Yeah.
things."
Where were you at this time? Were you in?
I was in Texas.
You were in Texas.
Yeah.
Oh, you went back to Texas.
No, it was in Texas in '98. So then I ended up, they DFA'd me. I wasn't pitching well, man. I deserved it. So Tony called me and said, "Hey, what do you think?" I said, "I feel good. I'm healthy. I got no problems." He goes, "Hang out. We'll get you over here in about a day or two."
Yeah.
So I just waited, and they traded for me, and I went over there. It just so happened that was the year
I mean,
McGwire goes off.
yeah. And so what time of the year did you go over there?
It was in June.
In June. So this is like
Yeah.
when it's all really, because obviously like there's been a lot of players who've had really good Aprils and Mays,
Yeah.
but Sosa and McGwire that summer.
Mm-hmm.
The summer
know-
that saved baseball, they say.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like between Ripken's, Iron Man record
Yep.
and then the home run chase. Like it was everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was 10 years old at the time,
Yeah.
and I remember checking, did they hit one? I remember being 10 years old in Orlando, Florida, asking my dad every morning, like, hey, who went ahead? Is McGwire in the lead or Sosa in the lead? Like, and they're in the same division, they're playing day games all the time, What was that like, being a part of such a historical moment? And it was almost like, I mean, baseball became so popular.
It
Yeah,
brought
it
it,
was-
it
was
brought
the
it
first
back
time-
from the dead.
Yeah.
the first
in
time in
94
a-
we had the strike.
Yeah.
And it was telling you 95. It was everybody hated us.
Really?
Oh yeah. It was all our faults. Yeah.
I mean, it was the first time, and you see it today, like you put on ESPN as basketball or football. Like that was the first time, like I remember in my childhood, like you put on ESPN and it was the chase.
Yeah.
Like baseball
Oh, yeah.
was the first story that came out every single day on
Yeah.
every news outlet, every sports, programming. What's that like being there during that time, watching that historic chase?
It was unbelievable. I mean, the thing about it is that no one, I knew Mac when he was, in the USA. I mean, and, you see the body transformation, obviously, I mean, to where he was going over there, but seeing what was going on at the ballpark. I remember going to play, we were playing the Mets at their stadium. And there was they said there was 25,000 people in there for batting practice before the game even started, just to watch him hit. And it was unbelievable. Just the attention. Somebody said it best. It was like having one of the, what was it, 4 Beatles. It was like having a 5th Beatle.
Yeah.
Everywhere we went out to dinner. He calls me one day and he goes, "Hey, we're in Cincinnati playing the Reds. We had a day game. And I think the place is called the Precinct or something. There's a steak restaurant. I might be wrong with that. But Matt calls me and goes, "Hey, you want to go grab a dinner?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Meet me downstairs." He goes, "Take the elevator all the way down to the
parking lot, to the parking garage,
shipping or wherever
they
do all that." He goes, "Meet me there. I got a car for us." I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" He goes, just do it." So I go down the elevator. He's down there. He goes, "Come on, let's go." We get in this car and we're there. And the car goes up through the garage and he's going to come out, and everybody was out there. Right. So Mac lays down, he puts his head down so nobody sees him. And it's just me in the car. And I'm like, "Hey, how you guys doing? What's going on?" Everybody's like, "Nah, that's not the guy." But I mean, that's how it was. It was everywhere. They had to have, so you usually have your security guy that travels with the team, right? Through Major League Baseball. Yeah. They brought in like another guy that on the road had the room right next to Mac the entire time. So that was like,
so he had like Secret Service.
Yeah, it was one of those deals where it was out of control. But I mean, just every single night, man. I don't know how he did it mentally.
Yeah.
Or Sammy.
Just because the expectation was they were going to hit a homer.
Just every day. It was like a World Series press. I mean, there was that many people following him and just wanting to talk to him. And it's got closer and closer. It just got bigger and bigger. It was a big circus. It was unbelievable.
What was the pressure like? Because obviously they were competing against each other, but you're in the same division. So you as a pitcher are having to face his opponent and Sammy Sosa too. Right. What were those conversations like amongst you guys as a team, a pitching staff? And obviously you were trying to do it for McGwire. Like you didn't want to be the one to give a homer to him,
yeah.
Right?
I mean, I didn't really talk to the guys too much about that one-on-one, but I know myself, I did come in out of the pen, I think one time, and it was in Wrigley to face Sammy. And I was like, "Man, I can't, there's no way I'm letting this guy take me deep. If I have to do anything, I'm
bow tie him."
Yeah. Something, we got to do something here to get him out. But I think it worked out well. But yeah, when it came down to the September series in St. Louis, and it was Chicago was there and Mac, it was unbelievable. I mean, here's a team. The team wasn't very good. I think we stunk that year. I think we were like 4th place, 5th place in the division. Still drew $3 million because of that.
You played in it later in your career, your last year of the career, but did that almost feel bigger than a World Series?
It was a different vibe. It was almost like you were going to a concert to see like your favorite band or something, and you couldn't wait to get there, and you want to see the performance because you knew Mac was going to do something.
So did you face Sosa at all down the stretch? Like
not in September, I don't.
Not in September.
I don't.
So I got to imagine, because it's a weird spot, right? Like you're, especially as bullpen guys, or anybody, you're a part of something great. But you're also like, "Hey man, like I've got to get this guy out. Like I've got a job to protect.
Right.
I want to have a job for next year."
Right.
And so, the best way I can describe it is I got to face David Ortiz at the end of his career. I was the last guy to ever face David Ortiz. And it was at Fenway in the playoffs. He was raking.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was on everything I threw. And they brought me in the 8th. We had a base open. and I think Hanley was on deck. Hanley Ramirez on deck, and I was not afraid to walk him.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, like, if you walk the guy, like, everyone hates you.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like I'm getting booed
Yeah.
mercilessly at Fenway. They pinch run because he's the tying run now.
Uh-huh.
So they pinch run like Marco Hernandez or something. So as a pitcher in that spot, you know, because I'm sure you had teammates that were facing Sosa every night, you know, in this series. Was there like a pressure to not walk him, or was it like, bro, just don't let him take you deep?
I think the mentality was don't let him take you deep.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, obviously, because it was so close. I mean, every day it was like, you know,
Yeah.
back and forth. It wasn't like he had a 10, 12 lead home run lead on him at any point in time. It was always close. So you just wanted to try to. Plus, you know, Mac's a great dude, man. I mean, I'm
rooting for your guy.
Yeah, I mean, that's the guy. And I knew Sammy from when he first came up, but at the end of the day, man, I mean, it's all about teammates.
Yeah.
What do you remember where you at when he hit number 70?
I was in the pen. Yeah.
And the bullpen.
Oh, number 70.
Did you guys have the bullpen in left fields in Busch?
Right field.
Oh, right field.
Yeah.
So it's 62 though was the low liner.
Oh,
right?
62 was the low
62
liner,
is
right?
the low liner.
Yeah, that was the one off of Trasic. Was it? No, I'm trying to think.
I don't remember. I just remember the image of him missing first base.
Yes, and he had to go back. Dave McKay was like, yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Yeah, I was in the pen. I had I think I might have had 2 or 3 spot starts over there, and then I was pretty much in the pen for all of it. But I mean, when he did the big one, if they shut it down. I mean, everybody came out, the bullpen, everybody, congratulating him and all that type of stuff. And it was crazy.
How, because I remember too, like him and Sosa, there was like a moment they had like on the field. How much of that was genuine? Was there a real like relationship between the two, or was it kind of manufactured by MLB?
That's a good question. I mean, I think Sammy,
some of it almost felt like watching WWE.
Yeah.
Like it felt like wrestling a little bit, right? Like
Sammy, I mean, Sammy's a pretty likable guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I just know him, like I said, when he was with Texas and then playing against him a little bit, but I don't know as far as teammate wise, there's a difference when you meet a guy and then you're with him for 162 spring training and you're like, dude, this guy, I mean, we've all had those teammates, but I think that, from what I know, but I think him and Mac, I think that they did a good job. And like you said, it was something that baseball needed. It was unbelievable. The timing was really important in our game because we had the strike in 94 and then 95 was just brutal coming back and it still wasn't where it needed to be, and then all of a sudden this thing kicks in a few years later and it was perfect timing. But I think those two did a great job as far as, moving the needle as far as the attendance and the fan bases and things like that to make the game get back to where it was.
How difficult was it living through that strike? And then, as former players, we understand how important the relationship with the union is and how it's our job as players to kind of protect the legacy of the union. How difficult a time was that?
It was, I mean, it impacted everything, and I'll start first with, getting the game back to where it was, right? But as a union and as we are so bonded, we knew we had to stick together because this was the only way we were going to be able to get what we needed to get and make sure that the game continued to go in the right direction for the guys that are coming behind us.
What were kind of the big things that you guys were wanting to, do you remember?
I think some of the stuff might have been the arbitration, things as far as, and it's always free agency is always a topic, right? I mean, so those
Free
things,
market.
but I'm trying to really think what the sticking point was. But I know that when we had meetings, we would have them, for example, here in Dallas, and players would get, and anybody could come to these things, and you would come there and you'd have guys up on the stage, whatever, who was talking. One time we were in this one area, it was like a big hall, and Dykstra was up there with Dalton, a couple other guys, and they're up there telling, I mean, guys, you guys better not one of you, anybody crosses the line, we're going to, I mean, it was getting to the point where it was going to be like fisticuffs in these little meetings we're having. That's how everybody was sticking together on these things. It was no, using the media and in the social media, putting this on X or whatever and saying this, blah, blah, blah. This was actually happening. And this is how the group felt. But, that in itself, I mean, that year I was making $3.25. That was my best year I've ever had. And you lose $1 million of it because of it. Right. So, I mean, there was sacrifices for that. But at the end of the day, you did this again because the guys before us did it, and we wanted to take care of the guys that were coming. And but when it was all said and done, I'm telling you, it's nasty. It was a nasty thing, but it had to be done. I mean, to cancel baseball, to have no playoffs,
That's
no
wild.
World Series.
Are you kind of fearful for what's potentially going to happen, because baseball is in such a great place right now, and obviously you have an attachment to it because you represent a lot of these players,
Right.
but you also have a son that's playing too.
I mean, I agree with you. I think the game is in a great place right now. I mean, I mean, I just saw some of the things the other day just from this start of the season. The viewership is up. It's tremendous. But at the same time, you still got to do what's right for the guys. And I think that, this salary cap thing is going to be the sticking point, and it's going to be hard for the players to agree upon that. And they're going to do everything they can not to have it happen and see where this thing leads. But hopefully, like I said, there's a lot of good things going on in the game right now.
You have a different perspective because you represent players, right? And you have relationships with front offices and executives, but you also, your job as an agent is to do the best for your player too. What's kind of your take on that? Do you think I know you can't say a salary cap is needed because we still, represent, the players side of it, but do you think there's a problem with parity in the game, what the Dodgers are doing? Do you think owners should be forced to have to spend more money?
I think that, I think everybody, as far as a fan, I'm a fan of the game too. I mean, I love this game. And when you look at it, you want to try to have everybody have an opportunity, right? At the end of the day, I think that's the biggest thing, is that how do we be competitive? How do we get guys that are going to give us a chance to go out there and do it? And for me, I felt like the Dodgers, they bothered me, right? But now I start looking at what they're about. They want to win. They got an ownership that wants to win. This year, what they did after winning back-to-back, they go out and they get one of the best players in free agency. They go get one of the best closers. Most teams become complacent. They say, "Hey, we're good, man. We're good for another 6-7 years. We're good. We don't have to worry about anything." But these guys, they just want to continue to win and win and win. They work on their player development. They never pick early in the draft. So whatever they're doing something right. And to me, it comes down to, if ownership, if you can't go out and accept that, then maybe you shouldn't be owning a team. There's only 30 of these teams in the world.
That's why the Yankees are so good. I mean, you look at, and for as much money as the Dodgers have spent, the Mets have spent more.
Right.
And it's not computing. It's not equating to wins, right? Like, you still got to go play the game, right? 100%. You still got to go win. And I mean, for as much money as the Dodgers spent, everybody, the perspective or the language is like, oh, they're just buying a World Series. Like, well, that's not true. They were an out away from losing it last year. Right. And then, Miguel Rojas hits a big homer. Like, they still need to go win.
You go back and look at that entire series. I'm telling you right now, Toronto, in my mind, the extra inning game, they should have won that game. They should have won the other game was that the one Ohtani pitched? Yeah. And he got that could have easily been over in 5 or 6. I mean, it's just a matter. But I mean, it wasn't like it was, 100%. Here they coming.
I covered the game with Sportsnet, so I was there for all 7 games.
I listened to you, by the way, too. You did a good job.
Thank you. Appreciate
the series, man. That was
but
excellent.
when the series was over, me and the other guy that I was working with, Caleb Joseph, we kind of got criticized a little bit because kind of what you said, when you were invested in the series and you were watching it and you were in there, the Blue Jays really controlled the series, right? And I guess the analogy we used at the end of it was like, when you're facing the heavyweight champ, you can control 9 of those rounds, right? But the only thing they didn't do was knock them out.
Right.
But they were in control. Body punches, blows, they were knocking them to the canvas. The only thing they didn't do was knock them out.
100%.
And that's really what it felt like. Yeah. And for people to sit here and say that the game's not in a good place with like parity and like the fact that not every team could win, like, are we talking about the game differently? Are we talking about the CBA differently if the Blue Jays win that? And how long has it been? I mean, the Yankees were the last team to win back-to-back World Series, right? So for us to say that the game's not in a great place is kind of crazy.
And then also too, you think about across the spectrum of sports, not just baseball. Like the Yankees, like I look back, I was a Red Sox fan growing up just because they weren't the Yankees, right? There's the rival, like in the rivalries, the Yankees were good for baseball.
Right.
They were really good for baseball back then. They were really good for baseball. The New England Patriots were really good for the NFL. The Chicago Bulls were really good for the NBA. Like, and also too, like now having played, I don't care who you have on your roster, making those deep runs and winning every year is so incredibly difficult. After we went to the World Series in 2016, you know, you lose in 10th inning of Game 7, you know, we go sign Edwin Encarnacion. Like we go add, right? Dude, it was difficult to just go get back to the postseason. It wasn't like, hey, just we got the same roster, just throw your gloves out there and go win. You're playing 162 against the 750 best players in the world. I mean, I think at the All-Star break, we were 2 games over 500, and then we got hot and we won 22 in a row. But I mean, it was like,
that's crazy. Too,
I mean, we won 20. If we don't win 22 in a row, that team doesn't go back to the postseason.
Right.
And we, on paper, we were significantly better than we were in 16, and we were, you know, a couple outs away from winning it too. And so, just I don't like the argument that the Dodgers, the parity, or they're bad for baseball. Like, I actually will argue the opposite. I think what they're doing is good for the game, because in order to compete with them, you got to go spend money. You got to go get the players. Yeah. And more importantly, somebody's just going to have to beat them.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that, you know, when you look at what they've done and how they've done it, I would, if they were just out there, you know, going about it, buying these guys and not wanting to get better, and they do it through the whole system though. The whole system, they want to be better. Yeah. I mean, I've got some guys over there in that organization, and it's what they have. Obviously, they have the resources, but I mean, they're talking about the deferrals. Hey, a lot of teams could defer money
if the Nationals did it. If they forever.
Yeah, they were one of the first ones.
Yeah, you know? and they won a World Series doing it.
So I mean, it's not like this is something they just invented and picked it up. So
I've also heard too, and you probably know way more than I do about this, but from a you know, the kind of identity of the Yankees back in the day was, you know, they just trade all their prospects. You know, they get, you know, they trade guys, they sign guys. They got nobody in the minor leagues, you know, after the core 4, you know, guys came up. But the Dodgers are well known for having a very strong player development. Like they are like one of the top-notch teams in regards to scouting, drafting, and player development. So they're winning on both sides. You can't be mad at them for doing that. They're doing it the same. They're playing by the same rules that Tampa's playing by. They're playing by the same rules that Cleveland's playing by. But they're able to, you know, they can go sign Edwin Diaz. They can go sign Kyle Tucker. But they still got to develop. They still got to, you know, scout well. They still got to do all these things well, because if you sign the wrong guys, you know, it doesn't matter. Yeah,
like I said earlier, they're drafting 30th or later every year. Every year, they got something figured out over there, right? I mean, how do you do that? I mean, you're not getting the top players that are taken in draft.
Yep.
I want to ask you about your short time in Tampa. Did it feel like because the year before they were an expansion team, when you went there the following year, did it feel different? Did it feel like still like an expansion team?
Well, the crazy thing is I actually played I played with Tampa, I played with the Marlins, and I played with the Diamondbacks. So I had 3 out of the 4. And, you know, the Diamondbacks it was its 4th year of existence. I'm trying to think what year the Marlins came in, because I was there in 95. So I think that was their second year.
Because you played with Charles Johnson, who was he was the number 1 pick in the expansion draft, right?
Yeah. 93 was the first year.
93? First year, 93, the Marlins. Yeah, so I was there in 95. So I got a kind of taste of that type of stuff. But Tampa was, I think probably because of just the the field and just the way everything was, the attendance wasn't great. I remember at the end of the year, I tell the story is that it's September, maybe the last week of the season, we're at home and literally you can hear these two ladies were behind our dugout, probably 2 rows
conversation.
back, their conversation of where they were going after the game. And we're in the dugout just going, you got to be kidding me, man. It was just that quiet. It was nothing
That's wild.
there. It was just, but the group of guys we
You
had.
played with some legendary
Oh, it
players.
was awesome.
Wade Boggs.
It was, I
Fred
started
McGriff.
that game. Bogsy got his 3,000. Bogsy, Fred McGriff,
Yep.
2 Hall of
Crime
Famers.
Dog.
Paul Serrano, Norm Charlton, Jose Canseco was on that team.
Jim Morris.
Oh yeah.
Were you there? So we were talking about this. What was that like? Did you guys in the moment, were you like, man, there's going to be a movie made about this guy one day? Like, or was it like,
It was
just
in
like,
Texas. He makes his debut.
yeah.
I start the game, get knocked out. He comes in after.
He
Yeah.
relieved you.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah. So he comes
Was
in.
he throwing, he was throwing BBs, right?
Yeah.
He was throwing pellets.
It was pretty good. It was pretty
Were
good.
you guys all aware of the story too?
No.
Going in? No, you
No.
didn't know. So
I-
because obviously this is pre-social media.
Yeah.
Maybe cell phones are out now, but like this
Yeah.
guy just shows up. You don't really know who he is, what he's about. You don't really know his story.
We just know that because Norm was Norm was running the bullpen. I mean, that was his. I mean, he was a veteran guy down there, but he was just talking about it, and I was going. He kind of goes, this guy he wasn't even playing like a couple of years. He was teaching. I'm like, what? And you start seeing him throwing. I'm going, dude, he has a cannon. And then all of a sudden, when the movie came out, I was like, oh my gosh, the whole story came together. Right now, I could figure out what was going on. But great guy.
So when you watched the movie, it was like, no way. Like,
Yeah.
you didn't know any of this either?
No, no, none of the history and how it all
That's
happened.
wild.
No, I didn't have any idea. I just thought that he was teaching. Guys get released. They go, I don't know if I'm going to play anymore, man. They go out and start trying something else, and all of a sudden they get the itch, and next thing you know, they feel something. They say, yeah, I feel pretty good. But I thought it was kind of one of those deals, because that happened a lot back when I was playing. It seemed like.
Next thing you know, Dennis Quaid's playing you in a movie.
No. Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah.
That
That Tampa team there was some good,
that was
players.
Lou
in it.
Piniella was the manager in that team?
No, Larry Rothschild.
Larry Rothschild. Okay.
Yeah, Larry Rothschild. Yeah, he was.
When did Lou manage in
he
Tampa?
came in? That was his next gig after Seattle, I believe.
Okay, because I knew
think
Lou was
so.
early in the Tampa Bay Devil Ray franchise, right?
yeah.
That's awesome.
But the year after that, they brought in. I think they brought. Did they bring Greg Vaughn in that next year? At the Tampa Bay, I think in '90. But they went out and tried to get some more pieces. But
when was were you there for Bogsy's 3,000th hit?
Yeah, I started
You were-
the game.
Oh, okay. And he was
Cleveland.
okay.
I watched his 3,000 from the locker room. I got knocked out. No, I came back down. Cleveland had my number, man. It was unbelievable.
They were really good.
Tommy owned me.
Dude, they were
I
so
hated it.
good.
But I start the game and I come out and I go upstairs and change, did my stuff, whatever, and then I come back down when he got it. And I'll tell you a funny story.
It was a
So-
homer, right? He hit a homer.
Homer.
Yeah.
Yeah, Homer. So Bogsy, it was a Saturday night that he does it. So they have a big party back at his house. He lived up in Tampa Palms, and I don't think anyone on the team went, but all his buddies and all that, they had a big party there. So the next day is a day game.
Yeah.
And so we get to the yard and I'm looking at the lineup and Bogsy's in the lineup. I'm like, no way, put him in the lineup. So, because he's going out and having a good
Yeah,
time, right?
yeah.
No
Are
doubt.
the stories true about him on the plane?
That I asked him.
Like the cross country
I
flights.
he guaranteed me that one. Yeah.
So
Do you,
30
you
Miller
know
Lights.
about these stories?
72.
Wade Boggs,
72
one
Miller
strike,
Lights.
72 Miller Lights on
Yeah.
a cross country flight.
Boston.
72?
72.
Holy cow.
And then he went out.
And didn't never pee. I never peed. Never peed too. He'd sit at the card table, drink 72 beers, never peed.
Yeah.
Like these are legendary
Yeah,
stories.
and he ate what was it like he was like pan fried chicken or something?
Chicken every day.
Yeah, he ate chicken
Yeah.
every day.
And at certain time he would, like at whatever time it was, let's just say stretch was at 5:10. At 4:50 every day, he would throw the first ball and play catch. Like one of the most superstitious guys ever.
Crazy.
But so in Tampa, we're in Tampa, and Bogsy gets his 3,000 homer. So I had the big party for him. He comes to the field and he's in the lineup. And as soon as I see him, he comes in, he's got his shades on. He walks over, he goes, dude, I haven't been to bed yet. I said, really? He goes, yeah, we were up all night, man, just celebrating and all that type of stuff. I said, well, guess what? You're in the lineup. He goes, no way. So I guess a lot of people were coming to the game. They sold a bunch of tickets because they wanted to see Bogsy get an AB. So he's going, no. So he just goes over there. He's kind of like, puts his uni on, goes out there, couple twists, a couple whatever, just to get loose, goes out there. First AB, hits a ball in the gap for a double, takes the hat off, waves it, comes out of the game, goes up, sleeps on the training table for the rest of the game.
Dude, what a boss.
And he retired after that year. That was
his last year.
At bat.
Okay.
Was that his last at bat? Maybe.
I don't know if it was his last at bat, but I know that was his last year playing. But I mean, that was the dude could just hit, man.
Dude,
he was put on this earth to hit.
That's awesome. I've heard like guys like him and George Brett.
Oh yeah.
And like guys like that are like they were just such naturally like talented hitters. Like if you tried to talk to them about hitting, they can't really tell you anything.
Yeah.
Right. Like I heard Moose talk about when George was like the interim hitting coach in Kansas City for those years. He'd be like, hey, George, like when you're facing a tough lefty, that's bearing sinkers down and in on you, and then they got a good slider, how would you, what was your approach? Like, how would you hit that slider to left? He was like, oh man, I just hit it that way. Yeah. And he's like, thanks, George. Like, appreciate that.
Well, think about it. All the good ones, right? They're all, I mean, that's the thing, man. All the guys that are really, really good at hitting, it's hard to explain to people how to do it because you've been so good at it, you never really failed.
Yeah.
So you never had to work at something. Where the other guy, he's like, man, I need to work on this.
Worked on my approach for 10 years.
Yeah.
And,
I want to go back because we touched on it early in the show, but tell us about that 2001 season, going to Arizona, ultimately winning a World Series, getting a chance to play with Randy and Kurt.
It was
Luis Gonzalez.
A great year. For me, my first start, I tore my ligament. So that was my last year, my 16th year. So I was sitting there and going, okay, what do I do here, man? I'm turning 37 that year. I knew it was pretty much the end. I was at the end of my rope. But the team that we had was special. I want to get back. I got to get back to play with these guys. So I decided to, if I was younger, 3-4 years younger, I probably would have had Tommy John, right? But I just said, I'm going to rehab it. Talked to a couple of guys that did that. They rehabbed it for a certain amount of time, came back just to get a little bit of life at the end. So I decided to do that. I took the rehab approach, which was, that was really the first time I was really injured like that during my career. I had one other stint, maybe I was on the, they call it the IL now, DL back then. But that was it. So I'd start this process. I'm going through it, and it was a grind. I finally come back after dealing with some shoulder stuff and this at the same time. So I get back in the beginning of August, and I come running I'm out of the pen now. And first time back, I was facing Atlanta, and Bob Brenly was the manager. So I was throwing pretty good. I mean, I think I was touching a 4 maybe back then, but he ended up throwing me like I got hot. So he ended up throwing me like 3 days in a row. I go, jeez, I think I'm going to blow out again here. I'm talking to a couple of guys in the team, but things worked out, got back. But you talk about just talented team. I mean, Matty Williams, Tony Womack, Council, Jay Bell, Mark Grace, Damian Miller. And then the outfield was Gonzo, Steve Finley, Danny Batista, Greg Colburn.
That was a really good
Rubio,
Damian Miller.
Damian Miller was catching, and then the staff. I mean, Unit, Schilling.
Rick Helling was on that team, right?
Rick wasn't on that team.
Rick wasn't on that team.
Brian Anderson.
That's right.
Miguel Batista, Byung Kim, Greg Swindell. It was.
What was Byung Kim like?
Very quiet.
He was nasty.
Little dude.
Yeah.
A lot littler than you. I don't know. He might have been 5'10".
Really?
Might have been 5'10", but his stuff was filthy. He was nasty until the Yankees.
Yeah. I mean, you think about like that series, it was just every game, it seemed like in New York. I mean, every game in general, like how many walk-offs were in that series?
3.
There was three.
It was
7 games.
2-0. It was 2-0 going into we were up.
Well,
2-0.
every road team won, right? There wasn't a single home team that won
Right.
until Game 7.
Yeah.
Until
Yeah.
Game 7.
Yeah.
So I mean, you got that was when Jeter. That was the Mr. Was that the Mr. November home run? That was the Mr. November off Kim.
November 1st, yeah.
And then Brocious off Kim.
Yeah.
Right?
And then Luis Gonzalez.
And then
Game
Luis
7.
Gonzalez.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Where were you at when that happened?
I was in
Were
the
you
pen. I was in the bullpen. Yeah, I threw.
What is that feeling like too? Because you guys were, refresh my memory, you guys were down in that inning, Game 7, or was it tied? Because Mariano was on the mound.
So we were. It was, what was it? 1-0.
It was Schilling versus Clemens too,
Schilling
right?
and Clemens.
Oh my goodness!
And so it's going back and forth, and second baseman from that was playing with the Yankees.
Knobloch?
No, from Cuba.
Oh, Alfonso Soriano.
Yeah. He gets a splitter out off of Schilling. They go up 2-1. And it was just like, because I mean, I thought.
Did you know Mariano's in the back end?
Yeah, because you're sitting there going, this dude's the best ever, best ever. So he's sitting there, and all of a sudden the 9th inning just comes up, and I was with me and Swindell were out in the pen, and we were just kind of looking at each other, going, "We got a shot, man. We got, maybe we get something going." Then all of a sudden, Womack, I think, ends up. I'm trying to think did Counsell walk?
Counsell
walked, and Womack hits a ball down the line, I think, and then they bunt. And if you look at that play, when Mariano picked it up, they had a shot at second. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
And then he ends up safe, and then they bring the infield in, and Gonzo
hits a ball that hits the infield dirt.
Yeah.
I don't know how his bat didn't shatter. I don't know how his bat didn't shatter.
It was unbelievable. But I mean, to do that, it was, and I tell people, because of what happened previously, with the 9/11 and all that.
Yeah.
I was almost like it was the way this thing played out was almost the way that you would envision it if you were making a movie, because Diamondbacks are up 2-0. We go to New York, the city. I've never seen it like that in my life. I've been going there for 16 years. It was just, there was like just a gray cloud literally hanging over the city. There was no energy. There was nothing. And then all of a sudden, Game 3. Okay, full house. President comes out. Bush throws the first pitch.
What was that like? Because I got a really cool moment last year.
Yeah.
2 years ago, I was with the Angels, and we were in Texas, and we heard President Bush was going to be in the stadium, and I kept asking people, we got to get him in here. And then he's like, yeah, he normally likes to come in and see the visiting players. He walks in, and I was like, I've never been really starstruck in my life. And I don't care how you feel about politics, but it's a living U.S. president.
Right.
It's like, there's only so many of these people. There's only 3 of them that are alive right now. Right. So you're like, man, this is crazy. You never think baseball is going to put you in a room with someone like freaking president. Right. So he comes in and no one's saying anything. Right. And I'm like, I got to say something. Right. Cause that's just my personality. So I'm like, hey, President Bush, can you tell us what it was like throwing out that first pitch in the World Series after 9/11? And he told us that, I don't know if you've been around him. He's the most charismatic, coolest dude ever. He loved it. He's like, huddle around. So we all huddle around. He told us the story, and it was gives me goosebumps. Yeah. But the cool thing was, the next year I'm part of the Rangers. On opening day, President Bush comes back.
Right.
And he's going around shaking everyone's hand. He doesn't know me from Adam or, whoever, right? He comes up to my locker, sees my nameplate, and he goes, I remember the question you asked me. That was one of the best questions anyone's ever asked me. And I was like, this is the coolest thing ever.
That's awesome.
It was so cool.
That is cool. He was part owner of the Rangers when I was playing.
That's right.
And then and then after that, he got into the politics. So he had to sell his share of the team. And then I kind of had a story like that when we were playing the Orioles, and his dad was the president. HW, yeah, he was the president, and we're playing the Orioles, and he comes in to the dugout, into the locker room, and he's got the Secret Service and all that. So he goes around, his dad with George W. He goes around and he goes, Bobby, I want you to meet my dad. And I'm like, first off, hearing it come out of his mouth,
you know my name?
He knew I'm just like, what? And all of a sudden I look and I shake his hand. I've got that picture on my wall. And it's kind of the same thing. It was just like, I can't, first off, he says my name. Second off, it's the president of the United States. And I'm just sitting there going, you got to be kidding me, man. This was, it was really cool though. But,
That's
that
wild.
was an amazing time though. The Diamondbacks, I mean, to, like I'm saying, you go to New York and there was nothing. It was just like the wind had been let out of the sail.
When you guys are facing like the monster, like the dynasty,
Yes,
like
they were going for 4, right? Wasn't it? I think
they were going for 4 in a row.
Yeah.
And and I don't think a lot of people understand, like, so the Braves win in 95. And in 96, the Braves are playing the Yankees. And if you would have asked somebody in that World Series, like, hey, there's a dynasty being born right now, I don't think anybody would have guessed the Yankees.
Right.
It would have been the Braves, right?
Yeah.
And so, but the Yankees end up winning that series. The Marlins win the next year. And then 98, they beat San Diego. 99, who did the Yankees beat? I know in 2000, they beat the Mets in the Subway Series.
Mm-hmm.
And in 99, they beat... Anyway, they win 3 in a row. In the Subway Series, they swept. And I want to say in 98, they swept. And so, I mean...
And they're going up against a fairly new franchise.
Fourth year of existence.
Team. Yeah, fourth year team. We had Buck in here, and Buck was talking about, like, being a part of the, just building out the franchise, essentially. But dude, so you've got, but you guys got to be feeling really good because, like you talked about, like that team, but it's Roger Clemens versus Kurt Schilling for all the marbles.
Yeah. Yeah, it was unreal. You know what was cool? I mean, obviously it's the celebration and all that after the game, but Roger Clemens, because I knew him from the years that we played against each other and so forth and did some things, golf tournaments or whatever, and might have played with each other there. And Swindell Greg was there, and Clemens, University of Texas guy, Swindell, Texas. I went to Oklahoma. So, but he gets the clubhouse guy from one of our young clubhouse guys to get me and Clement. I mean, me and Greg, and we meet him back behind the clubhouse. It was a little area where he walked over. Now, this is after just pitching that game, all that stuff that he went through, losing the game and all that type of stuff, how it ended up, and just wanted to congratulate us both that night.
Dude, what a class act.
I mean, and that's something that, he gets a bad rap. People, whatever, talk, with what happened with him, unfortunately. But, I mean, that to me, that was something that I'll never forget, for the rest of my life, just because of reaching out like that. That meant a lot to me.
Was it, we were talking about this before we got here, bittersweet winning the World Series, knowing it was over? Like, was a part of you that wanted to go back, or was that like the ultimate way to go out?
Oh, so for me, I had this, 40% tear in my elbow, my shoulder. I was getting shots down the stretch, like as much as I could. I mean, the whole team was trying to do whatever we could, but and then I had a back issue. So when I was done, I had major back surgery that December. So I knew physically that was it. But at the same time, I knew I was going out that way. The last guy I ever faced, I pitched in game 6. I struck out the last guy I ever faced in baseball in a World Series game.
Who was it?
Oh my gosh. It was Shane, not Shane. It was Tyler. It was Green. Todd Green, I think. I think that's who.
I'm going to have it here in just a second.
I think that.
It was Shane Spencer.
Shane Spencer. Okay.
Who is a
Sorry, Todd.
stud.
Yeah. So I ended up, that was the last guy I ever faced. So, I mean, I had all that stuff going on in the back of my head, and I knew physically my body I was done, man. I got everything I could out of my body for 16 years. And when I played with Nolan and I played with Goose, I asked those guys at one point in my career, I said, when do you guys know it's time? I said, do you just keep going, or what are you going to do? And Goose was like, they're going to take my jersey off my back. I don't care what happens. I'm never giving up. He said, I'm not, the way I look at this game is this is what I've always wanted to do, and I'm going to go out that way, and then we had the strike, and Goose never played after that. And then Nolan was pretty much the same way. He said, look, man, I'm going to go as long as I can. He goes, until the game dictates whether I can get guys out anymore, or physically I can't. And physically he broke down. that was it, you know? So, but I'm very thankful for what I was able to do and just be able to, you know, finish in that situation. I mean, I would have never said, hey, if I play this game, if I go out winning a World Series, that's the way I have to go out.
I mean, there's no better way.
Man,
I got to ask you one more question about your career before we go on to a couple other things. 1997, you hit a home run.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we got to talk about
Dodger
that.
Stadium, right?
Yeah.
Who'd you hit it off of?
Ishmael Valdez.
Oh,
Okay.
He was nasty.
Yeah.
That was like 1997 was like peak my like childhood. Be like I was 7 years old at the time, but like it's when I really got into baseball. So like that name resonates with me. I know who that was. And what'd you say? It was like the first American League pitcher to do it in a long time.
Years.
25 years since they got rid of the DH in 1972. Right.
You were the first American League pitcher.
Well, it was interleague. So they just start interleague in 97.
I gotcha. So you're probably one of the first American League pitchers to just hit.
Because I mean, I had a pinch hit back in the day. Bobby Valentine let me pitch hit for
hit
for Pete Incavea. We were playing
for Pete.
We were playing.
Didn't he live around here, or he was?
He's down. I think he's down in Corsicana right now. He's managing the Cleburne Railroaders.
We gotta get him on the show.
Oh yeah, that would be you guys would love that. Yeah, but yeah, the home run, it was interleague since when interleague started. So we're taking BP, you know, now we know our schedule and we're going to go play the Dodgers. So the pitchers are going to hit in this series. And we would be out there hitting, everybody's talking smack, you know, and coaches are just scared to death because they're worrying about obliques, you know, and all this stuff. So we're playing, I'm trying to think. It was, I think it was the first game of the series. So I'm starting and I come to the plate, and the first at bat, I hit a line drive to second base. And I was like, sweet. I said, that was pretty good. I was happy with that, right? And then I come up again, and Mark McLemore's our leadoff hitter. I'm hitting in the 9-hole, and I was leading off the inning. And I go, Mac, I'm going to drag bunt to third right here. These guys are playing back because it was a close game. And Mac goes, who's going to run for you? I go, I don't know. So I ended up first pitch. I mean, I can see it. And I mean, he's starting his windup, and I swear I was like, I'm starting to swing right now. And it's a fastball. I hit it in the gap, and I'm going, damn, man, I got a double, I think. And I get around first, and here's the umpire going like this. I'm going, oh my.
You didn't even see it go out?
No, didn't see it go out. I just saw it going in the gap. I saw the replay.
Do you have the ball?
Yeah, I got the ball.
You got the ball?
Yeah.
Awesome.
The bat they took to the Hall of Fame, and it was Billy Ripken was on the team that year. So I was using Billy Ripken's bat. He was like, dude, you got me in the Hall of Fame.
That is true. I did it. You know, I had one big league at bat, didn't go well. But I always heard like, you know, like the Rawlings reps or like the Louisville Slugger reps would come in.
Yeah.
You know, they're like getting your bat measurements and stuff like that. And you know, hitters are always looking at the grains, you know, they're doing that, you know, they're like doing this. And the pitchers would never want to use their own bats because they had the worst wood. Yeah. They gave the pitchers the worst wood. And so all of our starters, when we'd go to like league play, like I remember like Josh Tomlin was using like Grady Sizemore's bat, you know, like nobody wanted to use their own bat. So like whenever somebody had like a big game and it's in like the Cleveland Hall of Fame or whatever, it never says the pitcher's name on it. It always has a position player's name on it.
Well, we didn't have bats, Cody. They wouldn't even do that for us. We were just grabbing one out of the box or whatever.
This feels
and
good.
Billy goes, here, use my bat. So he goes, I'll take it up there. So, but yeah, it was pretty cool. And then it was good because I think I went 7 that night. We got the win. It was like 3-2. And the funniest thing was Piazza's catching. And so I take a swing, and it was early in the game. I take a swing at a fastball up, and I just try to just crush it. And he goes, man, you better take it easy. You might hurt yourself. I said, dude, you're talking to me. How about your swing? You know, I said, you're freaking up. Every time you swung, you could hear, you know, but yeah, it was pretty cool. That was something I'll never forget.
Hey, when did Junior debut?
Let's see, 22. It was his rookie year.
How many games into his career did it take him to pass you on the Witt household home run total?
That's a great question because he outdid me in the draft. I was the third pick.
Yeah,
he was the second pick. So he was.
Who was the first pick in his draft?
His draft, Adley, Rushman.
Okay.
Yeah.
probably he's your son, but probably the right choice, right? Adley was like,
Yeah,
all
he
world
was. Yeah, he was.
catcher,
He was
switch
killing
hitter,
it. It
yeah.
depended upon what the organization wanted to do. You know,
Yeah.
do you want to develop a guy, or do you
Yeah.
want to get somebody that's going to be probably quick on the come, right? But yeah. So he was kind of talking. He had the bragging rights in the house for forever.
Did you humble him real quick and say you have more homers than him?
That's what I did. I walk around and I give him this. I go, I got the belt, man. I got the belt. Until you get 2, I got the belt. So he hits his first, and actually it was about. They had something the other day on it was like, I think it was the first week in May. It took him to get his first home run. So he hit that, and then he hit a second one. I got the belt. Oh man. Right after the game, we talked pretty much after every game. We said, I got the belt. So
you're the first guest we have had in here that, has a son in the big leagues. You talked about all these amazing moments in your career and like the list of players that you played with, the accomplishments that you've had in your career, winning a World Series, representing your country. What is that moment like, hearing your son be drafted second overall? And then what is that moment when he gives you the call, when you're the dad on the other side of that phone call, not a payphone, but an actual cell phone calls you that your son's going to the major leagues?
Yeah, it was that to me probably, I mean, I'd have to put it up there with the World Series. Maybe even a tick above that, just the fact that him doing it's because of what he's done, the work. You watch how hard he's worked, the time that he's put into this thing, what he's always wanted to do. I mean, and when you have a kid, that's all you care about. You want what's best for them. And I think with what he did and how he went about it, he goes about it the right way. I think he's got a little bit of old school in him, but he doesn't. I get a lot of compliments from ex-teammates of mine. I'll see him. I haven't seen him in a while. And they say, hey man, I love watching your kid play. And I mean,
I second that.
For me to hear that means the world to me, because that means that 2 things. 1, he was raised right, and 2, he's going out there representing the game the way it should be played.
What was that phone call like, though? I mean, you get like emotional, like.
Yeah, it was pretty emotional. I'll tell you what really got me kind of took me back a little bit even more was when the first time, because I listened to the radio a lot because I'm traveling. The MLB, I listen to the MLB radio all the time, every day. And when I heard his first, hi, this is Bobby Witt, the Kansas City Royals. And when I heard that the first time, I was like, oh my gosh. Because I'm always listening to it, hearing other guys do that voiceover or whatever you want to call it. And it was the first time that I heard him, and I was like, damn, man, he made it. I mean, that kind of was one of those things.
That's gotta be wild. You're hearing your own kid.
Yeah, it was really cool. But the phone call was special.
And then what about watching him come out of the dugout the first time?
Well, we were there with
we
were there with the whole family. I mean, all the girls were there. Trying to think. I think, I don't know if any of the son-in-laws were there. Maybe one of them, because they were still playing a few years ago. And it was just amazing. The first time when he came his first at bat in Kansas City, he got a standing ovation, and he hadn't done anything yet, and it was kind of one of those things. Well, wow, this is really cool. And he ended up getting a knock. I think he drove in the run, and it was a great day.
That's cool. We talk about all the time that, like, baseball is such a huge part of all of our lives, right? Like it's been there. I'm out of the game, but now I get to do some broadcasting for Cleveland. We get to do this show. Now I'm coaching my kids, and the goal isn't the big leagues, right? The goal isn't, even college. Like, that's not the goal. Like, the goal is like baseball is such an amazing vehicle for like personal development, right? Like all the attributes that your son has, he got them from you and your wife, but baseball was merely the vessel that was probably used to teach him, self-discipline and resilience and toughness and how to be a good teammate and confidence, like, and all these things. So, it's like, yeah, I'm sure watching him play in the big leagues is like pretty awesome, but I'm sure probably getting the phone calls from your old teammates saying like, hey man, he does things the right way, or, like that's gotta be like, just, as a dad, that's gotta be like,
that's something that you don't really, when you think about raising a family and raising kids, that you think that that's going to be part of the equation. At some point, somebody's going to say that to you, right? It's just like when it started happening, I was just like, man, this is a guy that I played with, that I admired as a teammate, I admired as a person, and he's telling me that about my kid, and that's the thing that just sets me, I just nothing but smiles, and
Does that I mean, my kid's 6, right? But I kind of live, I don't
Mhm.
want to say vicariously through him because I had my own career, but when I watch him play, I have such a sense of joy because to me, I mean, he's still young, but he loves it and he
Mhm.
enjoys it. But like, I don't know, I get like nervous for him because I want him to love it and I want him to be successful at it. Like,
Mhm.
does that ever go away? From you watching him as a little kid through high school, through the minor leagues, and now him being a superstar in the major leagues, do you still like get nervous watching him because you care so much? Or do you feel like you've done a good enough job of raising him to be his own person? Can you kind of just sit back and just, I don't know, just be his dad, but you're also a fan of him too? Like, how's that? How's
Yes.
that like balance work?
Yeah, you definitely. I think that you said exactly what I was going to
You
say.
don't like live and die through every at bat where like you
No,
just understand because you've been there, you understand the process. Like there's going to be highs, there's going to be lows. He's going to be successful. He's going to fail. You just want to be his dad. Like you want to be a resource for
right,
him.
right. I think that for me, the first thing is that, like, again, you're a position player. Your son's hitting, pitcher. If your son's pitching, my son's hitting as a former pitcher, I get a little bit of a discount there because I know that, okay, if it was pitching and he was out there, and then it would be like, dude, I did this my whole life. I hope I taught him all the things I need to do. But as a hitter, it's a little bit different in position player because that's not what I did. I mean, the kid should be making errors. I mean, but I think that I'm always going to be a fan of his. That's what I am. I love the way he plays the game. I love watching him. I love watching his teammates. That's just what I do. I mean, I'm there for him, but I'm always going to be there for him. But when you raise him up and you send them out and they go out, you feel like you've done the right job, so that now I feel good that he's in a position where he doesn't have to, I'm not worried about him, what's going to happen on the field and that type of stuff. As far as playing the game right, doing something stupid, I mean, my biggest thing is that he's got to be able to go out there and figure out how to get out of slumps, how to work his way through that. And I feel like he's doing a pretty good job of that. So as it goes on, it gets easier. As they get older, because you're going to see him. Because at first, I mean, think about it. You go to a game and you got a 6-year-old and they're going to go up and hit. And both sides, the home team and the visiting team, all the fans in the stands that day are watching watching that little young man go up there. And the pressure that's on him to try to make contact and do something good is incredible. And everybody's under the assumption that he's going to go out there and do that because,
Yeah.
he's your son. He's your son. I mean, and that's the thing that we got to understand as parents, that, hey, this is a tough game, even obviously at the big league level, but even at that younger age, you guys, you got to support him no matter what happens. When
I love that
things
you
are
said
going-
that too, because maybe I don't put that unfair pressure on him. Like he's his own person, but I
Right.
think maybe subconsciously I feel it that everyone's watching him and
Yeah.
he's supposed to be something at
Right.
6 years old because he's my son.
Right.
I've never really thought about that. Maybe that's why I feel the way that I feel when I watch him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very proud and
Yeah.
I've never pushed him to come into the batting cage and want to hit. Everything's kind of on his own terms. I'll be like, hey, you want to play baseball? Yes or no? Like whatever his answer is fine. He's 6 years old. If he says yes, I'll be in there as long as he wants.
Right.
If he wants to hit 2 balls, we hit 2 balls. If he wants to hit the whole bucket, I'll feed it to him. But I've never really thought about that. Maybe I put this unfair pressure on him because I feel like everyone else expects him to do something. But what you're saying is he's his own human being. He's his own person. Yes, his dad did what he did, but he's got his own path to kind of carve out in life. He's got his own decisions to make.
Yeah. I mean, it is hard. I mean, especially with the social media, man. I mean, it's unbelievable. You can flip it on and they got 8-year-olds that they're predicting to hit 40 in the big leagues right now. I mean, it's not fair. And it's just the way things work. But
to kind of wrap this up, we talked about this before we started rolling, but you got the phone call from Tulo.
Yeah.
And Taz is what, 12 now, 12, 13 around there. And that kid was special at 6. Like we talk about like these young kids, but like that kid, there's certain kids, probably have it or don't have it. What was kind of the advice that you gave him? Because Tulo, obviously, borderline Hall of Famer, probably would have been a Hall of Famer. He's now in a position that you've kind of already been through as a parent.
Mhm.
Your son has gotten to, the highest level of professional sports as a superstar. And, what sort of things did you talk to him about when he reached out to you?
I think we talked a lot about just the teams, where should he be playing? Should he be playing up? Should he be playing with his group?
What's your take on that? You think playing above your age group in order to understand that there's more value in potentially pushing you to your limits as opposed to playing maybe in your age group and winning all the time, understanding that in baseball failure is around the corner. So like you might as well learn some of it at a young age.
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing is learning the game, right? Because I think even now you're watching, there's so much stuff that as far as the showcases and the things that kids are doing as they get to where they're eligible for the draft their senior year, like the year before, 2 years before. I think they're losing a lot of the concept as far as the actual game playing. And that's lost somewhere because there's a lot of times where even at big league games, there's guys that I don't even know if they know kind of where they're going with cuts, double cuts and things like that. It's crazy. But I think learning the game, definitely knowing it from as a youngster, figuring out the ins and out, which it should be. But at the same time, things are different now in the world that we live in. When I grew up, the guys on our street were older than us. So if you wanted to play with those older guys, you had to step your game up. And if you didn't, they wouldn't pick you as one of the guys on the team. Now it's like, you don't have that because everybody's so it's so relegated to certain groups and teams and all that type of stuff. But I always felt like sometimes if you're able to face a little bit better competition every now and then, it's good for you.
You mentioned something about a panel with Nick Saban. You were going to touch on that a little bit?
That's the thing that they just did in Washington. I think they had a group of college coaches, I think some baseball people were there, some GMs and all that, and they got together and they're trying to figure out right now, they put something together and I think the president might have signed off on it where they're going to make it 5 years of eligibility, period. And
I think I did see that. I think that did get signed
at the college level.
There's an age limit.
Yeah.
It's like, I think it's like 5 years from the time of high school graduation or 24 years of age. Like it's like whatever comes first.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a couple quick hard hitting questions. He has a list of them, but I'm going to search off all the guys that you played with. Game 7 of the World Series. Who do you want on the bump?
Can I have 2?
Yeah, you can give 2.
I'd say Schilling and Johnson.
Schilling.
All right, now you got to pick one. Because mine was Kurt or Randy.
Yeah. I'll go with the unit.
The unit?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Tougher guy for you to face. Tony Gwynn, Barry Bonds.
Bonds got me. He took me deep, but I'd rather face Bonds because he would actually try to take me deep, if that makes any sense, because I was more of a power guy. Strikeout. Gwynn is just, it's like, it's him, Boggs. I mean, Molitor was in that same category. It's guys that put the ball in play that absolutely would drive you nuts.
Is Shohei Ohtani the greatest player you've ever seen?
Talent-wise, see,
there's always like the GOAT conversation, right?
Here's my thing, Cody. I'm a guy that has always been both sides of the ball.
Yeah,
always. So he's an unbelievable hitter. He's a great pitcher, but he can't do anything defensively to win a ball game. So he's definitely up there. I mean, what he's accomplished, some of the stuff is absolutely 50-50 is crazy. But there's never been anybody is not a DH that's ever been like him. So, and that's what he is. But I don't know. I mean, I think if Barry Bonds didn't because he was an unbelievable outfielder, Bonds, before he was winning gold.
He had a bunch of gold gloves. Yeah.
So, I mean, you take that guy with the home runs, and if you look at his defensive stuff, what he used to do, I never had him behind me, but John Burkett played with him, and he said that he said he would turn around sometimes, and he literally looked like he was right behind him, and then he could just cover the outfield, kind of like what you do.
So I guess it's probably a better question, not greatest, but is Ohtani probably the most impactful player?
Yeah, no doubt, because of what he can do.
What he can do on both sides.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely, yeah. like I said, I look at guys that do things on both sides, you know. I mean, great hitters can never win a game in the field.
Of all the great players you played with, one person to drive in a run to win a game, who you going with?
That I personally had as a teammate.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Fact is a great hitter, clutch
I would
gene.
say because he was a teammate of mine, probably Juan Gonzalez.
One guy.
Oh, man, you were there the year he drove in like 120 at the All-Star break?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's bananas. All right,
Yeah.
last question.
Yeah, he was nuts.
Dad in his prime versus son right now. Who wins?
How do you get him out?
Okay, my slider.
Are you giving him a bow tie?
First pitch. I used to do it in high school. I'd hit him every now and then. Just
I'll never forget that as long as I live.
throw one behind him. That's Satch Page. Yeah. I think I could get him out, but I think over the long haul, because he's really good at making adjustments. That's the thing that he's been able to do. That I think he's really. I mean, I've seen him over the years. Like he'll get beat on a certain pitch, and then the next time might not be that next at bat, but the next time he faces that guy, he'll get him on the same thing that he got beat on. So, but I would get him out with a slider. I think I could get him out. Yeah, but I tried when he was.
We'll have to ask him. We'll have to ask what he thinks.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he never saw the good slider. He'd always see my stuff at the end. I mean, when I was done, I'd throw BP to him 3 nights a week when he was in high school.
That's right.
But yeah, I'd probably try that fastball. He's pretty good with fastball. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, dude, I can't thank you enough for coming on and just sharing all of these stories, man. Like your experiences in baseball from, playing with all the great players through the strike, through the Olympics, through the 2001 World Series, man. What a story. And also too, I, as a dad, being able to sit here and listen to you talk about the relationship with your son and how, this game that we all love has been, such a vital part of it, but it's just a part, right? It's just the vehicle. It's just the vessel for personal development. And it's something that you guys are going to enjoy as long after Bobby's done playing. Right. Hopefully he has kids and, you guys are the new age, boons, right? Like third generation, fourth generation,
that'd be kind of cool.
It'd be really cool. So, but man, I can't thank you enough, for sharing all this with us. And, we'll watch some games and we'll follow along with Bobby. And, yeah, man, I just can't thank you enough.
Appreciate that. No, thank you guys for having me and just being able to talk the game, man. I love this. I think what you have going on over here is something special. You'll just keep doing it. And best of luck to you all and what's ahead for you.
Yeah, with that being said, if you want to hear more content, hit the subscribe button. This has been another episode To the Majors.